good time. So
Nice.
There was like a TikTok that I saw earlier today, which was making that exact same pun, Daryl. Except
Really?
it was, yeah. I mean, it's fucking really, unique.
Like that's a big
Halloweener.
stretch, right? Yeah.
But it was probably the scariest thing that I've seen. It was like a TikTok thought, and she was like, it was like edited in a really creepy way, and she was just making the pun over and over again, and like the way it was edited, it was really unsettling. It's just like, do you get like fucking face like, and do you get it? Halloween, like and it's like cut up and
Was it ASMR?
was it funny?
It was.
Was it
Not
Asmar?
funny. It was legitimately one of the most frightening things I had seen this season.
Really?
I really did not enjoy it. It was very scary. But yeah, it was just a TikTok, man. I don't know. It made my skin crawl. I want to share it with you guys.
You should share it with us. Blah, blah, blah.
Hey, you guys want to see a picture of what I would look like if I was a vampire?
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Nosferatu.
That's not Nosferatu. That's
It's Klaus Kinski as Nosferatu from Nosferatu since 1979. But it popped up on some video that I'm looking. I'm like, God, that guy looks familiar. And I'm like, oh, that's me in the mirror all the time.
I see that face every day. That's funny.
Just a shade or two paler, and you'll be
Him or me?
Him.
him. What?
Obviously. This is a
I
very.
got candy cane face. I'm all red and white. What are you drinking there, Dana?
Wow, look at that.
It's a vodka cranberry, but it tastes
Of
like
course
beet
it is.
drinks. What does that mean?
Really?
Of course it is.
Vodka
Really?
cranberry?
Yeah.
That is
that
a
a-
signature Danon drink.
Is it? Yeah, it is kind of. That's what you.
Yeah, totally.
Really?
Is that or gin and tonics? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what my
Or
dad
maybe-
drinks.
I thought you were a Cosmo guy.
I'm your
Yeah.
dad. I am a Cosmo. Yeah. Cosmo.
Yeah, when I invited you to dinner on Friday, it was specifically because you're the parents.
Ah, it makes sense now. It makes sense now.
Yeah, my parents are coming into town, and Danon is gonna come grab a bite with them.
Oh, I bet he was
nice.
gonna stand. I bet he was gonna stand in as you because you couldn't make it or something. Mom, Dad.
Parents are coming into town, and I just don't want to deal with that shit.
We're both skinny white dudes with
Yeah,
like
with
facial
beards
hair.
and
Yeah,
hair
it's
and
good
yeah.
enough.
They would never notice.
Interchangeable.
They'll never know the
They'll
difference.
never know.
It's
Yeah.
pretty interchangeable. I don't know if you've seen people nowadays.
The amount of people that asked if we were brothers when we lived together. was
All you white
hilarious.
people look alike.
We do. Thanks, Doug.
I know.
Well,
And see, that's not offensive.
He's right.
'Cause you're white.
Because I'm white.
He's white.
I get to say it.
Yeah,
and Dana's not fully white, so
It's true. Quarter
That's true.
Mexican.
would that make it offensive?
quarter
Holding it
Mexican.
down.
The quarter
Does
quarter
Polish
Mexican.
count- does
As-
Polish count as,
Oh.
Mexican
No,
as
that's
I
white.
am Scottish.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know.
It's a hodgepodge.
I mean, yeah, it is weird. I don't know, man. You're a Mexican. Might as well be.
Might as well be.
Might as
Hey,
well.
I can eat spicy food now. Okay.
Oh,
Now,
Yeah.
That's
speaking
your
of which,
bar?
I've been shitting green for 2 days.
Great.
So
Did you
I was
eat
about
on
to talk about
Halloween?
green
What
salsa.
happened?
so happy Thanksgiving. What's the one with the green? Happy
St.
Irish Day.
St. Patrick's Day?
Patrick's. That's it.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I've been shitting
Oh.
green for 2 days. It's been pretty miraculous. So
Well, remember what you ate and eat it about middle of March.
Yeah.
well, I'm starting to eat brown things to bring it back. So
That's not how
candy
that works.
bars.
that's all you have to do.
How it
is
works?
Just Kit Kats and Snickers.
you know how they say you are what you eat?
Racist
Yeah.
cops.
Is it like you shit what you eat? Well, I guess
Yeah.
that's true.
So I've obviously been eating.
You shit what you eat. I mean, there's never been a truer phrase. That's my motto.
Only if
That
you're eating
old
corn.
adage, you shit what you eat, you know? Well, I mean, one day of green is fun. 2 days is like, what's going on here? You know,
Mhm.
I mean,
Um,
green's a food group.
it is.
One day
So-
of green is actually opening on Friday.
One day of green.
One day of green.
One day
That's
of
actually the Green Day cover.
Yeah.
Oh, I
there we go.
think. Nice.
There you go.
I was gonna say earlier that Stuck Ween is a Ween cover band.
That's a good one. Stuck-
Man.
We
Well,
had some
what do we
really,
watch this week?
Oh, I was gonna mention some good band names, but yeah, let's crack on because we have quite a lot to get through.
We
So-
do have to introduce our guest from the Harkonnen family, Daryl Harkonnen.
Ah.
Hold on. Let me get naked and sit in some steam, and we'll get this thing going right.
Yeah.
There we go. So this is the We Like This podcast. Welcome. I am joined by myself, Dana Waters, Doug Waters, Daryl Waters, Ben Nickerson, Jeremy Dallas, and Brent Price. And we are talking about Dune this week,
2021.
2021. And what
That's right.
an interesting movie. I'll just start it off by saying that. I don't think any of us, me, Jeremy, and Ben have not seen the original Dune. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
True.
Brent, have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
See, that's why I was
yeah.
gonna say. So Brent,
I can almost guarantee that Brent's seen it.
Oh yeah.
I've seen the original Dune a few times. I've seen
I-
Jodorowsky's Dune twice. I've seen the miniseries a few times.
Wow, what a
I'm at
nerd.
the point where I'm just gonna assume that Brent has seen whatever movie that we're gonna.
Yeah.
Well,
I've already
hold on.
seen this one twice.
Is the miniseries good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Because it actually dives into the story, which the movies couldn't get into. Yeah.
I think if you're a Dooner, it's good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
Is that what you
since
guys call yourselves?
Josh Brolin was in this, going to be the Doonies.
Oh, Doug.
Clever.
They could have gotten Sean
What a
Astin.
Callback.
That would have been good.
Yeah.
That would have been really good.
The Doonies. I'd watch the Doonies.
The
The
Doonies.
Doonies.
It's just the
Running
same
around.
thing, except they're on Arrakis and most
Yeah.
of them die.
Dave Bautista doing the truffle shuffle.
I'd pay to see that.
God.
That'd be good.
I was actually, I I like kind of like weird sci-fi shit a
This is
lot.
weird, man.
And this actually, I know very well that there's no way this is going to appeal to a lot of people, but the kind of choices that they made to like make it a very mysterious universe instead of explaining everything, which I know just through like osmosis that's usually what people think of when they think of Dune, is like everything has to be like really deeply explained and dived into, and this is why these women exist, and this is like what's going on with him, and it's like, I think even like the original Dune, I heard that there's a director's cut where they inserted slides of text so that you could like keep up with the movie.
Jesus.
When you went and saw it in the theater, not that we did, but when you went and saw it in the theater, the 1984 one, they handed you this fucking big pamphlet
You
to
pretty much
give you
need,
some sort of
you need
background.
a
Right.
semester long. You need a semester in Doom
You're
before
kidding.
you goes.
Yeah.
So-
Are you
In line,
serious?
they handed
Oh
you a
my
pamphlet
God.
that explained
Yeah, this is like
You're
what the
joking.
fuck was going on. No, because it was so. Because they
What?
were like, once they were looking at especially because of the original Dune, director's name,
David Lynch.
David Lynch. yeah.
worst choice ever for his style, worst choice ever to ever have done Dune ever in a
I was
million years.
surprised
Right?
that it was-
Ever.
It was-
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah, I
horrible
thought that
choice
was
to
weird,
begin
too.
with because of his if you watch anything else he's made, those don't make any sense either. So it's kind of his move, right?
It's his MO.
Yeah.
It's just to
Something
turn the
that's
camera
very
on and
hard
be
to
weird.
explain
Hey,
and make it
Twin
Yeah.
Peaks is super easy to digest. I don't know what you're talking about.
And it totally makes sense.
I never liked any of his stuff. That his movies sucked. I think they're an excuse to make a shitty movie, but they're calling it art.
Strong.
It is.
Yeah,
It's just like
because he
Yeah.
specifically said that his works are not supposed to be understood. They're supposed to be like felt emotionally.
That's
It's like fuck that.
experience.
That's
That's
not-
dumb.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
also-
No, I feel the same way. It's bullshit.
Yeah. That's you remember when you were in school and you draw something shitty and someone go, I don't know, and you're like, well, you just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
It's an excuse for making shitty art, and that's what he did.
Or
a
when
really
you get
great-
called out
yeah.
for something shitty,
Run.
and you're like, no, it's supposed to sound like that.
It's supposed to
When you,
sound
know,
like
full,
shit.
when you know full well that you're like, oh, he's right.
Like if you're just
You-
completely plastered
Yeah,
through the
you do
two
a-
seasons of Twin Peaks, then it's kind of funny.
You do a room
That's how you consider
room thing. We're like,
Yeah,
no, yeah, it was a
exactly.
comedy the whole time. I swear it was a
Yeah,
comedy.
that's how I did Twin Peaks. and it
Twin
worked.
Peaks
but the
is
thing is,
rough, man.
if you like
I
that
like
weird
Twin
shit,
Peaks.
yeah, that's the thing is if you like that weird shit, it totally works for you. You know what I mean? So for me, I was like, Lost Highway. I think I tried watching Mulholland Drive. I tried watching. I'm like, God, these are terrible.
Lost Highway had some of the best soundtrack of all time.
I don't even remember it. That's how good it was.
Nice.
Art Lou. Look at my Art Lou.
Arlu.
So I will say, I think Ben's getting here though, but the weirdness of Dune. One thing I really liked about it is that it was unapologetic, and they just kind of like full scent, and they're
That's
just like
smart.
either catch on or don't catch on. And there's a couple
Yeah.
of examples I wanted to bring up that I wholeheartedly disagree with other people's interpretation of Dune and this presentation of Dune. But yeah, Ben, finish your thought.
Yeah, no, so like what I really appreciate about this movie and like really enjoyed about it was the fact that it's been a long time since I've been introduced to a world where I really felt like it was like alien to me. You know, like I feel like the last time I kind of felt this way was maybe when I was a kid watching Lord of the Rings.
2019.
Like, yeah, the summer, yeah, literally 2 years ago. No, like when I was like a child watching Lord of the Rings, like it felt like there were things that were just beyond comprehension in this universe. And I'm fully aware that like in the books, like everything is like, it's like hard sci-fi. So they like really get into like why everything works the way it does. But I think it was a really smart move to just kind of say like, you know what, like, no, like this is 20,000 years in the future. I'm not going to fucking sit here as a director and like hold your hand like everybody else has tried to. I'm just going to fucking show you the shit that's happening. And like you can get on board or you can get out. I do actually think that was a really smart move if you're going to make Dune cinematic as opposed to like a miniseries or something like that. So I think that this is pretty much the only possible way that they could have done it. And for me, I was like, yeah, dude. I thought that world was fucking crazy. I was like, I don't understand. Who are these fucking nun ladies? What's going on? He's the Messiah.
Okay, good.
What the fuck? And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I feel like I said a lot of the same shit, like almost verbatim. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's happening here.
But it looks pretty.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, every shot is really good looking. So I'll keep watching, and it's engaging. It is engaging, but I don't get it.
And so
I'll totally agree with Ben. Like the backstory of Dune, the source material is so dense, and the history of the universe is so complex. There's no way you could do it in a movie, which is why previous movies have failed. But the miniseries,
I have a lot to say about this, by the way. So go ahead and finish.
And so I think they found the right middle ground. It's a 2-parter movie, and just going heavy in stylistically and just foregoing any exposition that would have cheapened the quality of the movie at this scale. Like you don't need a title slide explaining Star Wars style what universe we're in. Just like you're here. Enjoy it. Figure it out on your own. The source material's out there. Wiki something.
So
you know.
It's interesting because I was listening to the Rooster Teeth podcast, and one of the guys, Gus, he like did not like this movie at all. He didn't like the way that they presented the sci-fi and didn't explain it all. And he's just like, why are they doing it like this? Why are they doing like this? What's going on? What's going on? And like they give you enough exposition, I think, in the beginning of the movie where maybe it was just the way they presented it where it's all pretty and I was just like, duh. Where they were just like, this is how the world works. And I was like, cool.
I didn't find myself
need spice to travel through space. That's it. That's all you need to know. And I'm like, I buy it. Fine.
Yeah, I didn't really find myself confused in that sense. I found myself like wondering, you know, like like kind of like enthralled by stuff. And I recognize again that this doesn't work for everybody. I feel like I can sense that maybe it didn't work very well for Daryl, but just like, you know, I'll
explain my position.
Yeah, I want to hear what your position.
So let me start with, let me preface my before I shit all over it with I want this movie to succeed actually.
Okay.
And I wanted to like it going into it. I wanted to like it very much. So I have a complicated history with Dune, if you will. Besides how I feel about it, I still want it to succeed. I'm glad they're making a second one because I want movies like this, even though I didn't necessarily enjoy it. I want movies like this again so bad. I don't even care that I didn't like this. Let's start with that.
Okay, very interesting.
Because movies fucking suck, and they've sucked for years now. Please bring back shit like this. This is a great start. I also think that I think anyone, this is just my bullshit opinion, of course, but I think the reason why anyone likes this as much as they do is because everything else has been so bad. And this is, I think, the reason why everybody liked The Mandalorian so much. The Mandalorian was mediocre at best, but it was better than all the shit, so it seemed great. My opinion. This is the same kind of thing for me. The old Dune is so fucking horrible. Now, it has its people that love it, right? But come on, help me out. The old Dune is fucking shit.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean,
I remember watching
Patrick Stewart ride a sandworm is truly great, but it's also fucking.
You got to watch it. And the pug,
good mental image.
He's running around with the pug everywhere.
And they're running around with a pug all the time.
But
the whole there's just a bunch. It's ridiculous. I actually watched it. Because like I was telling you guys before, my viewing of it was in the theater, and it started at 11:45, and I'm sitting around going, "What am I going to do until 11:45?" And I
watch
said,
the
"What
first
the hell?
movie?
I'll watch the first movie."
In the theater?
No, I watched it on television.
I'm kidding.
I watched it here.
Hold the Candyman.
He
You
just
watch it on your
his
phone. In the theater.
Hey, what are you doing? Nothing. I'm watching Dune. Get away from me.
Yeah. Wow, man, it's even better on a 4-inch screen.
But, and it sort of hit points. I mean, when I read the books, God, it's been more than like 35 years since I read the books. It was one of those high school things you're desperate for. I was into sci-fi and high fantasy and stuff like that, and I was kind of desperate for something to read. And trying to slog through Dune's kind of tough.
I bet
At the
it is.
time, I'm sure it still is. I remember the first couple being pretty good, and then it kind of losing its steam as we went. I was surprised when I went in to see this film was that the opening screen is part one. I didn't realize that. Because I was going in there preparing that I knew that it was heavy. I knew that we need to sit down and we needed to get into it because there was a lot going to be going on, and there was a lot they had to feed us before.
I disagree with everyone who says this. So here let me explain myself. So everyone says that, oh, Dune, there's so much going on. There is not.
No,
in this movie.
Have you read the books?
Hold on. And I knew you were going to say this.
Hold on. I knew you were going to say this. You're putting words.
I knew you were going to say this. Everyone says this. Oh, it's too much. It's too much in the books.
No,
it's too much in the books. Let me finish.
I didn't say that.
Too much in the books. There's so much going on.
Didn't say that.
Let me finish my thought.
Fight.
You didn't let me finish my thought.
Let Doug finish his thought. He was talking first. You interrupted him.
I actually was talking first. No. Go ahead.
That's true. This is like,
and then he jumped in. Go ahead. Doug, go ahead.
No, wait, hold on. You know what? I'll tee this up for you, Daryl. I think that there's a lot of stuff that they have to fit into this movie, and it was going to be really hard.
So they put nothing into it. This is my point. Hold on. Dude, think about it. Okay, we start on Cadonius or whatever it is, right? The home planet of House Atreides.
We actually start on Arrakis, and then we go to...
But you know what I'm saying? Where the fuck is everybody? These are massive worlds with no people in them. That home planet has 5 people.
That's your problem?
No, this is part of my problem.
Okay,
Here's what happened. Here's what I think happened. I think it happened in the old one, but especially in this one. Everyone goes, oh my God, there's so much going on. There's so much going on. How are we going to put it all in there? Let's put in nothing. We had no history of the Bene Gesserits or whatever there. We have no history of this family. So I didn't care when the dad died. I didn't care when he got.
You didn't care when the dad died. The dad was
awesome.
such a good guy.
You're a heartless Harkonnen.
No. Here's the thing.
Isaac was amazing in that role.
He is amazing. I didn't care about him. I didn't care when the doctor. We know nothing about this guy. He handles the kid's head once and says, "Got a great heart," and then he betrays him, and you're like, we have no history with why this betrayal is a betrayal. So it didn't feel like one.
I do agree with you on the doctor, but I'm gonna tell you right now why you're fucking wrong about the dad.
Go ahead.
The dad. Okay, so the dad is like, it's very obvious that he is one of like many figureheads in the universe. They don't hide that fact. It's really obvious. They talk about it multiple times with like the Harkonnens or whatever, and it's like, okay, I get it. It's like a feudal system. There's an emperor. There's a bunch of figureheads. This is somebody that doesn't know Dune like that. I learned that from the movie. And then the dad, who has clearly conquered this planet that he's like the steward over, you have this immediate response of like, oh, the son doesn't want to be emperor, the son doesn't want to be the head of the house. Like, this is going to be a conflict between these two. And the dad is super fucking cool about it. He says one of the nicest things that any fucking like head of a household could ever say. It's like, I didn't want this either. I like respect you, son. And like, no matter what, you're always going to be my kid. I will tell you, however, that I think that when it comes time, you're absolutely going to take this because that's how I felt. I wanted to be a pilot. And they like have like a bonding moment. It's a really sweet moment between incredibly powerful people in a way that I would never have expected. That dad was actually so kind. And to me, like him dying later, it was like really fucking sad because it's like, he's like one of the only good people in this obviously fucked up universe based off of what we learned. Like I definitely was bummed about it. I cared about the dad.
That's a quibble. I'm talking about, like I said, I still think that they looked at it and said, oh my God, how are we going to tell this massive story? So let's tell very little of it, because it's a very simple story. Okay. I know nobody wants to say how complicated it is. It's a simple story. You got these different powerful houses. You got the kid that's the Messiah. That's your story, man. We've heard it 1,000 times, even before Dune and after. And I know that Dune has been heavily borrowed from Star Wars and everything like that. But a little bit of history would have been nice. They roll right. I'm just telling you what my opinion.
Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah.
They don't tell us anything. So I don't care that anything is happening to any of these people.
Yeah.
Because we get nothing. They followed the same beats as the original film in many ways. Right, with the same stuff, the fighting scenes and everything like that. The only exposition we get is this stupid little on Varakis, the Fremen have sea legs. You know, it's all we get. I needed something. The Bene Gesserits are all they would do is like some kind of when they're getting off the spaceship and blah blah blah, and they could have just zoomed in on Rebecca Ferguson's face, and then we could have had some kind of flashback or something to explain her involvement, what these people are. But that's the thing. I'm going into it.
You wanted that.
I don't
know if I would have liked it either way. Thought.
In my opinion, with this film, because you're going into this world that is not built yet, you can't assume that everybody's read the book. And I think they're making this assuming, well, the only ones who are really going to watch this are Doom nerds, right? Dune nerds, because that's usually who watches these type of movies. You can't go into it like that. My example too is Game of Thrones has an extremely complicated story with multiple families.
Yeah,
it tells it very, very well. Very well.
8 seasons.
It also like
no, hold on. I know you're going to say that.
Like
I knew you were going to say that too. Lord of the Rings. Very complicated story with
3.5 hour movies.
First movie though.
They also don't get into the history.
Exactly.
They really don't. You've lost your mind.
Lord of the Rings is very simple.
Yeah.
Some guy needs to return a ring. That's it.
Okay.
And so this, but we still get in this rich world. We care.
And what
about
I'm saying before I was rudely
we see a
misinterpreted.
birthday party. We slowly get into it. We care about these people. We get to see their lives. We get to experience them. He goes, I need to talk to my order. They're very wise. We get into that order. We get some history through the exposition and through the film. They don't tell us, they show us. It's part of it too. We get none of that here. They walk around some graveyard. How many people live in this?
I don't agree with you.
They get to Arrakis.
I think, like for the Bene Gesserit, for example, the Bene Gesserit's a great example of this.
Talk about these stupid trees.
They are mysterious. They are definitely treated as a very mysterious, unknowable, people in the movie, and they probably aren't treated that way in the book. And I get that.
I actually don't ever read the book. So.
But I think the Bene Gesserit is like one of the main things that they.
Oh fuck you! You read it 35 years ago. Do you remember? I asked about the other day. You're like, oh.
But I just want to say about them, you learn everything you need to know about them through exposition. They have a conversation. The old lady has a conversation with the mom, and that's your clue that the mom is part of the Bene Gesserit. You know that they deal with magical shit. You know the mom made the son magical somehow. You don't really get it, but maybe he's a potential messiah. That is communicated through exposition. And then the son is tested by the Bene Gesserit. And you're like, okay, whatever, I get it. She wants to do fucking magical shit with the son. And then you don't need to think about the Bene Gesserit very much longer until you know that the Harkonnens are planning to usurp the Atreides family on the planet. And then you get exposition where the fucking Bene Gesserit lady says, you can't hurt those people. They're under our protection, which is your clue that not only are they weird magical ladies, they also have significant power and influence in the universe. You literally do not need anything else from them. That is all you need to know.
Okay.
I want more.
So
that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
That's the mystery.
I want to say, I think I think the biggest fatal flaw with the Dune movie is that it shouldn't have been a movie. It should have actually been a TV show. I will very, very rarely say this.
And guess what? It already has been.
Yes, but I would love to see it like this. I would love to
like
see
a
it
Game of
this.
Thrones style.
Yeah, maybe. But I would want to see
hour-long episodes.
I would want to see Denis Villeneuve do this as a mini series, like a single season mini series to get through the entire book. We have 6 to 7 hours, maybe 8 hours of Dune. The first book. That's, I think, in my opinion, when I was watching it, I was halfway through the first movie, And I was just like, man, this would have been a better TV show because there is a lot going on. However, you can take a lot of this, like Ben was saying, at face value because you don't need anything else. Like you're talking about Game of Thrones. The big thing about Game of Thrones is everything that's going around it. I don't think you could possibly tell the Game of Thrones story as a movie. And same thing with Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings, they cut a lot of the shit out of the Lord of the Rings and made them better movies than the world that it was presented in. And so,
but you read the books. I'm telling you, I didn't read the books. I didn't read any of these books.
That's
and
fine.
In Lord of the Rings,
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Rings, I understood that there was a lot of long, vast histories in the way they presented that film.
Okay.
And also the characters were all these characters. Everyone's very serious and humorless. Duncan Idaho, which is a terrible fucking name, is the only
It is
character
really stupid.
where we get this tiny little snippet of him and Paul are friends, but I don't feel anything from their relationship. Because we just get this tiny snippet where he tells him, "No, you're not going with me, kid," and "I love you, boy," or whatever, and then that's it. Next time we see him, they're on a plane. I just wanted more.
Yeah.
I wanted more from these characters. I
Yeah.
wanted to care about them.
Yeah.
I wanted more
So-
from the doctor. Why does it matter that the doctor betrays him? He does it, and he's like, we find out that his wife and everything, but we don't know the relationship
This is
between
why it
him
should have
and
been a
Leto.
TV show. But I mean, the thing is like with this is why it should have been a TV show or maybe even a 3-parter for the entire first movie because there is a lot going on. Again, back to Lord of the Rings. There is a lot going on. There's way more going on Lord of the Rings than any other written material besides the Bible. Like it's insane, and it's all Tolkien canon. You know, it's not. There's no extended universe or some shit. It's all Tolkien. It's either him or his son. And that is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And so you don't need any of that to watch the movies. You don't need any of that to watch movies. Same thing with Dune.
That's my point.
When they open up on Calderis, I think that's the name of the planet for the Atreides homeworld, they at the bottom it says the year. The year is 10,163 or something like. It's the year 10,000. You can say like, okay, well, there's 8,000 years in between now and what's happening in Dune. There's got to be a lot of shit going on. But
Why are we still fighting with swords?
They explain
Because
that.
bullets don't work with shields.
Yeah, they
I
don't
guess,
work with
yeah.
shields. They're kinetic.
But
so.
the weird dart thingies do.
Yeah, because
So we have
That's
these.
why they have
we-
swords. To
We're
flick
back
it
to
out
like
of their
blow
shield.
darts and
Yeah, that's because
swords.
the blow dart
I'm totally
is
for it.
actually it's not a bullet, it's a sword on the end of a bullet. And
It's
so-
a sword.
It's
It's a
a
sword.
missiles
man.
and
It's a little
rockets.
man who's going in there, pushing it in.
yeah,
There's missiles
I,
and rockets, but then there's also swords and blow darts.
so I did think that was interesting, but
You can see that the rockets.
The
explosions
rockets are
going
really
over the
slow
shield.
rockets that go in through the shield.
Again, it's a little
yeah,
man.
I thought it's a little man with an exploding sword.
Yeah, it is.
No, I thought that was actually kind of fun. I don't know anything about how the fighting system works in Dune, but my assumption was immediately that like, oh, I guess they like have this shield technology now, and so like you can't like kill people with like by shooting them with lasers or whatever the fuck they have in the year 20,000 because it's 10,091 or whatever. I know I got that wrong, but shut the fuck up, comments. But that's apparently 10,000 years. Like that 10,000 started 10,000 years after today. Like so, it's 20,000 years in the future.
Oh,
And
really?
so like yeah, and so like I'm assuming they have like lasers or whatever, but they don't work with shields. And then they like kind of somehow ended up back with like swords,
I
or
mean,
maybe there's like a weird
when
honor
I was
thing.
watching the movie
know.
and I saw that they were fighting with swords, I was like, cool. That's
Yeah,
it.
it
Like,
was
I
pretty
didn't
sick.
think like, what about guns? I
No,
literally.
Yeah,
didn't care.
yeah. I was only kidding about that. If you
Yeah.
can say this thing about Star Wars, why the fuck are they using laser swords? It makes
Yeah,
zero
Exactly.
sense.
Those
They
They
got
are
would
lasers.
get
lasers,
shot dead
so-
almost
Zero
immediately.
sense. Makes
Yeah.
no sense. Well, you can block them and then
Yeah.
cut off Jango Fett's head with your purple lightsaber.
That's true.
So
I saw that.
I said I'm not disagreeing with all you guys, but I sort of am because the Godfather films, first Godfather movies, 3 fucking hours long or whatever, rich, beautiful stories. You get so much. There's a lot going on
Maybe
with many different moving characters, many different parts. It's slow burn, just like this was. But I feel like this was a very simple story that they kept simple. Give me more detail. Give me more world.
maybe they were
I
missing an hour.
think-
That's all.
Maybe they're missing an hour.
So still with my original comment is that Dune is a dense material that for making a movie is incredibly complex to do well and make it high quality. I feel like for the quality
Always.
that this movie was, they couldn't have that amount of exposition without feeling like a cheap 90s or 2000s space opera. which is why I keep saying like the miniseries is fantastic if you want to know more. The David Lynch movie is obviously terrible. But I really respect this movie for what they've done stylistically without trying to explain everything. I felt like it fit their stylistic goal and their quality goal, and with the time scale they had for creating a 2-parter series. If they tried to explain enough to appease everybody, it would have felt cheap to me. And I would have definitely not enjoyed it anymore.
Yeah, and I really do think Daryl hit it on the head. If you are a Dune nerd, then this is awesome, you know? And if you don't have like a background and you haven't read the books and whatever, you might still enjoy it like Ben, right? But I think if you're someone who's like myself, who kind of went into it, I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you explain it to the degree that I would have liked, so that I actually felt a little bit more invested in the characters, then it would have been too much explanation and the movie would be too long, because it's already really long. It's like
maybe exposition is not the right word. Exposition is not the right word. I needed more time on the planet with his family that I'm supposed to care about.
You need more actual interactions with
we know nothing about their history. We know nothing about the history of their planet. And everybody says, oh, it's so dense. It's so dense. There's so much going on.
You know what I wonder?
Just give me a little more. They gave us nothing. We walk around a graveyard.
I think I
he
know
has
exactly
an interaction with
what's
his dad. And then, I don't know, maybe an hour into the movie, the dad's already dying and is betrayed by this doctor who's this doctor. Who cares? You know, and like, that's all I'm talking about. I wanted to know more intimately involved with this family. I wanted to know why I needed to care about them. That the Harkonnens, that they're getting set up, obviously. Like I said, the story's simple. They're getting set up by the Emperor, that the Harkonnens going to fucking kick their asses. Got it. You know what I mean? Easy. But why do I care?
If it was a 3-parter, they could have done it, but I don't know that the pacing.
But then
the
story beats would be weird. Like I think they picked the story beats like in a 2-parter for the specific reason that it at least feels like a single cohesive story. Even though I think that's actually the weakest part of the film for me.
Me too.
But what I was gonna say is, in response to that, Daryl, I think that it's possible that even though the books are very exposition heavy on the universe, there may not be a ton of interaction between characters, which might be why this movie and the 1984 movie both share a lot of character scenes, which is something I heard. I bet the books might just be pages and pages of universe shit. And then it's like, yeah, that's his mom. So like, of course, if she's in danger, you're going to care. Like, I'm going to write about that as like whoever the author is, because otherwise I think it is really bizarre that they didn't put more character moments into this movie, since it's a very character heavy way that they told the story. True. But that may just be a limitation of the source material.
And there's little moments that I really enjoyed. Like you brought one of them up, Ben, when they're having that long walk. What's his name? The father,
Leto.
Leo, yeah. When they're having that conversation, and he basically says, like, at the end of the day, you're still my son, no matter what. Whatever you decide to choose, I reckon like that was a great moment for me. And some of the little moments between him and Jason Momoa's character, really good. Like you can tell that there's a little bit of a mentorship relationship there, sort of like a big brother thing almost happening, and it's really cool. Like I liked all those character moments, and they really stand out to me because I don't think there's actually that many of them.
Yeah.
And so to Daryl's point, I agree, because I wanted more of that. So then it would have made sense more at the end when some of these people are dying. Because I also felt the same way about the dad, to be entirely honest, even though I liked that scene with him and his son.
Oscar Isaac is amazing. I think
really touching, and it was a great performance.
A couple of bad
at the end of the day, I still
but generally speaking, yeah,
like when it's revealed who betrayed him, I wasn't like sitting in my seat going like I was like, oh, it's the Asian guy. Okay. Like, I saw him earlier in the movie.
Like the only Asian person in Dune.
Why was he speaking Mandarin too? But that's right. Because I didn't know. So that's another thing I learned about this movie, that I didn't know this was humans in the future. I thought this was a totally different universe.
Oh no, it's humans in the future. Yeah.
So when he's speaking Mandarin, I was like, how's he speaking Mandarin in space? I didn't realize.
So there's a ton of cultural elements from Mandarin in space that are in the different houses.
Yeah. So, and he's talking about the grandfather fighting bulls. I'm all, space bulls? What? I've seen this before. We had space horses. Now we get Spaceballs, but then I was like, oh, this is
Wasn't
our
Spaceballs
world.
Is that Dune spinoff movie?
Spaceballs,
That's
yeah. that'd be great.
I mean, that was definitely one of the.
So
funny
that was
things
my
about
problems
it.
with the movie. One of the things it was beautiful. Fuck, it was beautiful.
It was really
Looked
good.
absolutely gorgeous. I think the Harkonnen dude, the Baron guy, was
Bill Skarsgård.
terrifying.
Yeah.
And amazing. I thought
Oh
that
my
was
gosh! Yeah,
a great version of the
Count?
Baron.
Is that what his name is?
The Baron.
Oh, no, the Baron. The Baron.
Fucking-
Yeah.
They called him something
Fantastic
else in this one,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it is
with
the
that.
Baron from the '84 picture.
The green guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. I think he wasn't a great.
Batista?
Yeah, I don't think he was a
Yeah,
great
Batista.
casting.
We haven't seen his character.
Yeah,
really.
he's kind of
Yeah.
wooden,
He's very
I
wooden.
don't-
like he was as Dax or whatever. In
Yeah.
Guardians of the
I
Galaxy.
think
I
as
like-
an actor in this director's movies, he was great in Blade Runner, but I agree he wasn't really.
I
well
really
fit
like him
for
in
this
Blade
one.
Runner.
Yeah,
2049.
because in Blade
Yeah.
Runner is supposed to play a robot with no emotions, but
Exactly.
a little bit. but I agree, he felt out of place here.
We haven't seen
as
his
a
character.
Jason
We haven't seen
Jason
his character.
Mimosa, I think was a miscast.
Really?
It felt
I don't
weird
know.
him being in there.
I liked him.
Even though he was
cool
the only
guy, though.
character with a sort of a personality that made us maybe
Yeah,
care
yeah.
that these people like each other, and then it's going to be sad that
I
he
was
dies in a
gonna
hallway.
be more
Because-
bummed if he died. Actually,
Yeah.
to be honest,
Because
with you.
as a character, I'm kind of vague. It's been a long time since I saw the other adaptations. I feel like as a character, that's always been his style. It's like very friendly with Paul, in that uncle type.
yeah, that's
that type of relationship, and I felt like he played that very well here.
I just wish seen again. Like I said, this is my big complaint. Was I wish I'd seen more of this. We get one snippet, and
Yeah.
the next time they see each other,
How do you
way
guys
longer to
feel
Arrakis.
about like it feels like I don't know that I'm correct, but it really does feel like maybe they just didn't have enough character interactions in the books to like replicate.
You might be
if
right.
If that is the case, because I'm really starting to think that it might be. How would you guys feel if Denis Villeneuve was just like, I need to have more of this shit, and just like
I would've
started
loved
writing
it.
extra interactions?
There's nothing wrong with that. That's what an adaptation is. I mean, look at Blade Runner as a prime example of an adaptation that is nothing like its source material. Nothing like its source material. And it was so it's funny. Philip K. Dick, if you read his shit, it's heavy sci-fi and not great. Great conceptually, but Doug's right, not great to read.
Good ideas, yeah.
Can we
What
remember?
is
Can we remember it for you wholesale? I think it's Total Recall.
It's Total Recall.
The source
A
material
Johnny
is
Mnemonic, I think
so
it is.
painful to
There's another
read
one.
and weird.
The base idea is really good, but the
Yeah.
execution is just awful. It's like
And-
eating oatmeal. It's just
Do androids dream of electric sheep? Yeah.
He's great at short stories, but
and it's,
if
like
you
I said,
try
the
really
idea behind it, like you're saying, do androids dream of electric sheep? The idea behind it that became Blade Runner is fantastic. The idea of we can remember for a wholesale of Total Recall is it's just that in both those cases, and even like I said, I believe Johnny Mnemonic, and there are a few others that he did. They're one of those few cases where filmmakers actually took his idea and made them, I don't want to exactly say palatable, but interesting.
They made it
Because like I said,
palatable, yes.
the world he creates is interesting to look at, but when you find out what's going on, you're just going, hey.
Well, like Blade Runner is about the beauty of life and how short it is, told through synthetic human beings. And the story is, I have no fucking idea what it's about. Do androids dream electric sheep? You don't get that from that story, and there's some weird religion in it, and some weird. It's a very odd story. So it's weird.
They
That
go heavy into. Deckard has a llama or an ostrich or something that's artificial.
He's got a pet sheep that lives on his roof.
Is that what it is?
Or something,
Okay.
something like that.
And,
Yeah, it's really
anyway,
weird.
He goes into a lot about these artificial animals.
Yeah,
and it's a big thing in the book. And it ends up, to me anyway, it just ends up being a whole lot of nothing. And,
so it is. So it's interesting.
I enjoyed more in Blade Runner, where you see the owl, you see the snake. You see a couple of when Deckard's going through the market, you see a couple of other animals, and it's sort of in the background. The closest thing to something being part of the story is the snake scales, and everything else is just sort of background flavoring that sort of enhances the world, but doesn't really drag us down. And I think that was the problem with the book, is that he does spend a lot of time with that, and it's not a long story. But and this one, as far as the movie goes, I liked it. I mean, I didn't. I mean, I think I cheated by watching the 1984 movie because it
Nice
could
palate cleanser.
it could have only gotten better.
I didn't think about that.
And when you watch the initial, they have like almost like PowerPoint slides of this is this planet, and here's all the spies on this planet, and here's this planet, and this is what's going on, and it's all a slideshow, and it's like, okay, that's interesting. And then
Nice one,
then they
David
go
Lynch.
through what looks like a cross between a theatrical play and a TV movie,
It's pretty terrible.
where all these people run around. And I mean, there's elements. I mean, what was interesting, and I was actually glad I watched it before I watched this film, was that there were like scenes that transferred. I don't know if they were transferring from the book directly, but they paired up pretty closely between this movie and the 1984, which I enjoyed. I don't think I've seen a miniseries. I would like.
It definitely fits a lot of the same too.
And
Doug, really quick
as far as I was concerned, like I said, when I went in to watch this, I was expecting something fairly long and fairly heavy. And so when the opening screens came out and it was part one, I was like, okay, we're getting a part. So I expect this to cut off before I was expecting it to. And so I was like, okay. And so for me anyway, the lighter pacing and yeah, they grazed over quite a bit of things that that either the books or one of the 1984, maybe that would have been better to do, but I personally didn't need it. Yeah, the doctor did kind of show up as a plot device and nothing more, which I kind of had a problem with. And all of a sudden, the what used to be the Baron, and I forget what they call him. They gave him a name in this movie of Heckerville or whatever the other planet is called, the H planet. They call him somebody Aryan of something or other. Anyway, so and all of a sudden he's got his wife, and we find out about all this story fairly shortly.
Vladimir.
Where
they call him Baron Vladimir.
Yeah, okay.
Harkonnen. Yeah.
And so I mean,
it's a pretty cool name, I guess.
I had a little bit of issue with that, but I mean, I was too busy watching the ornithopters flying around and stuff like that, and enjoying them just running around, learning about the what do they call them, the Ferens, and
Fremen.
The Fremen. Sorry, whatever.
So many versions.
The Beemans. The Beemans, I think it's called.
It's Fremen.
The Freed Fremen.
So anyway,
the M&Ms.
And
Gordon Freeman's.
Is Jason Momoa going out to hang out with them, and then them making a connection and coming back and interacting with what's his name? He plays Pope Demerol in Star Wars.
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. Okay, I don't know his name.
Pope
I just
Demerol.
know him as Pope Demerol.
Taupe Demerol.
I've never heard something so off-brand in my life. What the fuck?
It's so close
That's
though.
awesome.
So I mean, it was very Dune light, and so for me, I kind of liked it because, like I said, I was going in there expecting something heavy. Instead, they touched on these points, and like you, I would have liked more, but I'm also kind of going, okay, this is part one of two, depending on where they decide to cut it off.
Yeah.
Is that we could be getting into 3 hours, and I didn't have a problem with this one because, like I said, I was kind of sitting down for something long, deep and heavy, a slog through a fairly long movie, and it ended up being what, 2 hours and 35 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a slog
So
for me.
it was actually, and when
was
they cut
slog
it
coming.
off, I
That's
was
kind of
like,
movie. That's kind of short.
this is surprisingly early when you
think it should've
compare
been
it to
longer.
like the 1984. A lot went on
Half
after
hours,
that. So, and I mean, I think the only, I guess, like you said, the Dave Bautista character really didn't have much screen time to kind of stretch his legs, but he was kind of flat when I saw him. And I can't
He's
say I'm
just
looking
henchman
forward.
number 1 right now, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Working for the Baron is about it.
He's his
And-
nephew,
Mhm.
the Berserker or something like that. He's got some
And
crazy
then
ass name.
I can't say that I'm looking forward to the what's her name, Zendaya. She was only in she's got that
Yeah.
grumpy grandma face all the time.
Really?
He's always got
Oh
sand.
my god!
And like she goes, they say cut, and she goes up to the craft
He's
table.
always-
And he's left his lemons, and so we know the desert is
No
tough.
way!
I don't
actually-
understand.
we
I don't
need-
understand
I
the thing
thought
about
she was-
Desire.
I thought she
I don't
was
get it
so
about her.
pretty. I mean, I
Really?
do feel
I don't
like
get it about her.
attractive, but she's only got one face. She's only
right,
got
but
one
it's like you're not
expression.
even.
Like,
It's just his dream of her. It's just like the same thing over and over
okay,
again. That
well,
made sense to me
meet her.
thematically.
he's
Yeah.
dreaming of someone who's had several strokes at a young age.
Wow.
That's
All
what
right,
I'm
that goes
saying.
in the quote book.
I don't feel that way at all. I really like it.
I mean,
like
so
that
I'm
vibe.
just saying that.
What
we
does
only get a
this
few
say about
shots
me?
of her.
That like she's like fucking grimacing at the camera, and I'm like, yeah, Zendaya, get it.
Yeah, grimace, bitch, grimace.
Yeah, grandma.
You know, you
And
know, who's a real banger is that Rebecca Ferguson. That's a banger.
he was.
Yes.
The mom.
I do not know why, but I am so attracted to her. I like her big nose.
Yeah.
But
I was like,
Because
she's a banger.
I did
That's why.
enjoy
Yeah.
her time on screen, especially with her son. They seem to have a very good.
Yeah, that was a good
connection to
relationship.
me. And all of them, the one good part with Dave, or no, that wasn't Dave Bautista. It was the other guys. They're dressed exactly like him. Was they were in the ornithopter and they're all tied up.
Yeah.
And he's desperate. He's failing to use the voice or whatever they're calling it. And then she's telling him, hey, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
And they finally kind of make it. That was kind of interesting to me. Is that original? No, but that's
was
okay.
cool,
He's got to
though.
have some powers if he's going to be the Messiah.
Chosen
of the,
one.
I also
the
love that he
chosen one
finally
of
got her
Anakin.
like mask off, and then she was just like, "Okay, I can handle house now." And like Mama Bear
Yeah.
came out and fucking wrecked
Yeah.
that helicopter.
I mean,
That was
when
like
she's
awesome.
when
Voice.
she's fighting and uses the voice, she's fucking scary.
Yeah.
Like in that
Yeah.
moment,
Yeah.
like you really feel like the power of the weirding witches.
and
Really
what I
are
liked
scary
a
in
lot
that
more
universe.
on all this stuff. Sure, but I mean, by the time we were about halfway into the movie, I accepted the fact that this was kind of Dune light,
Mhm.
and I was okay with that.
Yeah, they turned Dune
there
from
are other
hard
there are
sci-fi
other
into soft
sources.
sci-fi, right?
There are other sources to expand on this.
I think
And-
I think to have made it work in even a 3-hour movie that's a two-parter, they would have had to rearrange some scenes from the story, taking some from part 2, bringing to part 1, because otherwise you'd have a purely political part 1 with more character scenes that we're talking about that would be nice.
and yeah, and I
but
mean,
it would be a very
the,
slow story.
I was watching
like
the
Attack of the Clones.
1984 one, and the end of it is almost all battle. And
Mhm.
so, to me, at least, that would seem extremely uneven.
Mhm.
And adding a lot to this would have had the pace be very even overall. So I mean, is it perfect? No, but again, would I've liked more? But I like the pace the way it was, and I was accepting of what goes. Do I ask more? There are other sources of information. So I think that, especially in this day and age, it's not hard to get additional information. I mean, if you wanted more and the movie didn't work for you, okay. But like I said, I enjoyed it, and except for a few little quibbles, it again, the pace, especially considering what I was expecting, was significantly faster And again, did we get all the high points? No, not really. We got very few, but we sort of got an exposure to the Dune world. And like I said, is if the second part of this two-parter is anything like the 1984 or the books, number 2 is going to be nothing but battles with no character exposition at all.
Yeah, that is
And
interesting.
so to me, there's kind of a give and take here, to where in order to make, especially when the second one comes out and you want to watch it all the way through, is I think your pacing is going to be wrecked unless they kind of even it out. And so I kind of enjoyed some of this stuff, the fast pacing that kind of simulates almost like fighting and battle and movement. And I didn't have a problem with them not having guns. I figured it's a lot more battles are a lot more epic, I guess it is.
Yeah, especially large scale.
Interesting visually, especially on a large scale, between people with swords and other hand-to-hand weapons than guns.
A great opportunity to do some cool choreography and some cool fight scenes.
You can do the shield thing, and they can roll around and do all this stuff. And I think it has more visual interest. And because we are at least 8,000, if not more years detached, is 20. Okay, thank you. I wasn't exactly sure how that distance worked, but is that we can have, they can do just about anything and explain it, because the audience are so detached from what's going on. I mean, they've reintroduced a feudal system, for God's sakes. So
no, that's actually a really interesting thing to me that appeals to me a lot about the concept. This is like beyond the movie, just the concept of Dune. It feels a lot, maybe I heard somebody say this, but it feels a lot like humanity has kind of existed for so long that it's become alien to us looking at it. And so like there's a lot of just fucking really crazy things. Like the one thing that stood out to me was that there's like no computers anywhere.
It's banned.
There's a reason.
They banned.
Yeah. Apparently that's like a whole thing. But I was just like, why are they? I remember thinking, why are they signing papers? That like these guys flew all the way across the galaxy and get out of their ship, and they have like this ornate thing, and they walk over, and he fucking rolls out a piece of paper and is like, "Put your name on this." And I was like,
he does.
I would love to nerd out about the universe of Dune, because all these things that you're talking about that are strange are fucking awesome in the history of the universe.
Right, but for me, my experience with it is just that it's like mystical almost. And it's like cool to participate in a sci-fi world. For me, that like it's cool to participate in sci-fi that is presented in a mystical way. What I think is even more interesting, just in context of this, is that I know that Dune is actually hard sci-fi with hard science behind everything. And it's Denis Villeneuve who's decided that like, I'm going to turn this into a soft sci-fi movie, like soft magic, whatever. Like, and let's just make it kind of fantastical as opposed to super like rigid and structural. And I don't know. I think like those two things together are pretty neat. I do want to touch on just a little bit about the pacing. I think that this movie feels like a second, at least the way that the movie goes, it feels like the second movie in a trilogy, right? Like, because it's like you're kind of coming from somewhere and you feel like shit happened, like in the exposition, they're like, the Harkonnen suddenly left, and it's like, okay, like, all right, shit was happening, and then it's like we get from that to like we know some more stuff has to happen afterwards, which is really weird for a first movie in a franchise, because it's not. It doesn't feel like it really exists on its own. And I think that that's kind of problematic, specifically because like that's not really like a movie should be able to be entertaining on its own. And I do think that,
and again, this movie's presumptuous. It is. It's one of the things that I don't like about lots of movies. I don't like it when you presume that I know the shit that I don't know. I don't know. Like, And this movie's made for people who are fans of Dune, so I think there's a lot of liberties in that way that they can take, which is why because I know what you're saying, Ben. It kind of feels like sometimes we came from a movie that didn't get made. Like this is sort of a middle movie somehow, and I think it's presuming that you maybe know this world a little bit. So for you, it's a bit of a reintroduction to some characters that you might already know, instead of a very first introduction.
Right, and even just like the hero's journey aspect of this first movie, right? It's like if you look at Episode 4 of Star Wars, it's like that could have been the only Star Wars movie that ever made it, and it would still be perfectly fine in a vacuum. I do feel a little bit like this movie would not be perfectly fine in a vacuum. I mean, obviously it says part 1 in the fucking opening credits, for God's sakes. But also they didn't even have the green light for part 2 when they released this thing.
That made me
and they
angry.
still might not release it.
No,
that I would have a problem with.
It got green light.
Oh, okay.
Ending.
So for them ending it where they ended it
cut
too
off.
made no sense.
Big
So I'll go back
risk.
to
That
I'll
was
go
a
back to
weird
this.
way to end.
Yeah.
I'll go back to Lord of the Rings, which fucking hit it out of the park. You didn't have to see the other 2 parts. It helped and it was great, but that movie ended in a way, even though it ended open-ended.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
Opening,
it had a
rising
finality to it.
action, It had the climax and then the denouement.
Yeah, it had a final. This movie was just all of a sudden you're like, well, see you later. Hopefully the number 2 gets made.
Because at least with Lord of the Rings, there's just more walking that's going to happen. It's not. There's nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, but it does end in a pretty. So
And
I
running.
feel like
It's not going to be simple though. You can't
And
just simply
running.
walk in a Mordor. You can
No, of course not.
difficultly walk in a Mordor, which is exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Although I will say
You do a
that's
Fremen
interesting.
walk.
You know, it's it's funny that we're talking about pacing in between multiple installments. The original. Have you read the original books, Lord of the Rings, Doug? Perfect.
Did you say Dad or Doug?
Doug?
Doug.
I know. He
Oh
has.
yes, many times.
Okay.
I've
I
read the
thought
Lord
you
of the
said
Rings
Dad,
book,
and I
too.
was like,
No. So
okay.
you know.
I sure
got,
fuck
Daryl?
out.
He hasn't. I know he hasn't.
yes, I read them.
No, I
several
never.
times.
So
I would
those
never
movies
read those.
Are the worst. They're the worst chopped up set of 3 books you could ever like conceptualize, and Tolkien did that for a reason. He wanted to release it as one volume. It's the Lord of the Rings. That's it. But his editor was like, "No, we have to make this palatable for readers, so you have to split it up in 3 parts." He's like, "All right, fuck you." 3rd books are gonna open up on the Battle of Minas Tirith, and Helm's Deep is gonna happen in the middle of book 2. It makes no sense. The books. Another reason why I don't like the Lord of the Rings books is besides all the other shit that's in there, is the pacing of them is terrible, horrible. If you're reading
Tom
one
Bombadil?
book, you have to read it. You have to read it.
No,
Like, I like
you
Tom
read
Bombadil.
you read Lord of the Rings. Like you don't just read Fellowship and call it a day, because
Yeah, exactly.
Fellowship ends before Boromir
One
dies.
does
He
not.
dies in the beginning of the 2nd book because they're still fighting the Uruk-hai.
Right.
It makes no sense from like a story point of view. I can't believe his editor must have just been like, "Fuck, okay, fine, okay, we're just at least the books are done. Let's get them out there. Let's make money." It's unbelievable. And so there's a lot of things that you can do pacing wise in an adaptation, which is very important. And Lord of the Rings is like the perfect example of that, because they pulled every line of dialogue from the book. They basically didn't write any dialogue scenes, maybe like 5% of it, and then rearranged a lot of the events that happened, so you actually had clear, concise, perfectly cut stories and went on with your life. Dune did not do that, and that was one of the things that I did not like about Dune, was the ending of the movie, and I was like, we got 5 minutes left, and they just met Zendaya in real life.
She says, we just got started.
And I was
Yeah.
like, fuck, dude, what are you talking about? There's a guy
Yeah, like this
riding a
movie should have
sandworm.
ended
It's like,
either.
God damn it.
It could have been, 15 minutes earlier, and it would have been okay.
It should have been. That would have been
Yeah,
a great
I think
opening
it
scene
should
to
have
have
been.
him fight that guy in the 2nd movie.
And
That
then
would have been
boom,
a great opening,
call it
because
quits.
it's not a huge battle. It's a very personal battle
Mhm.
that he's having
Right.
with this guy. It would have been a great opening scene.
Yeah, and it would have been a really
Yeah.
good ending too. This is a really good point, Dana, because it would have been an amazing ending if like they were like crossing the desert sea And he's like, we have to walk in a specific way, otherwise the sand monsters are gonna kill us. And then the mom's like, I don't know if I can do that. And then they fucking walk off into the sunset, and you're like, well, I hope they survive.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So because what they did here is like they're like, okay, we have this big old battle, like the place that we were at got taken over, and now they escaped. They're in the ornithopter, and they get taken down. They're crossing the sea, the sand, and then they meet the Fremen, and then they have to fight this thing. And then it would have made more sense if they had done the fight like we were talking about in the beginning of the second movie.
Right.
Because because now they basically fucked up their cliffhanger, right? So their cliffhanger should have been like, okay, now they got here, and then the Fremen pop up. Maybe even the Fremen pop up, and then the first movie ends, and you're like, oh shit, okay.
Oh, that would have been
yeah.
And
then have them
tension.
fight
But now, what they did do is they have the rising tension. You're like, oh shit, and then they have the fight, and you're like, oh man, they made it, and then the movie ends, and you're like, whoa. What? Now what? And then you see a guy on the sandworm.
I don't get it.
I don't want to see that guy. I never want to see that guy riding a sandworm again, but I know it's part of the story, and I hate that that's a part of the story because that's stupid. And
Watch Patrick Stewart do it.
Yeah.
You know what I was
Even
really
worse.
worried about?
It's
This
the
is
best.
nothing to do with like what actually happens in Dune, but I was really worried because I know those books were written in the 60s when that aide to the Emperor girl like sets down the little thumper and like tricks the Emperor's vanguard, who the fuck these like soldiers were.
They're just mercenaries.
into getting eaten by the sandworm. And then that sandworm shows up again and like pokes its little head out and opens its gaping maw. I was so worried that she was gonna like get like tongued out of it, like she had some, you know what I mean? She's like, yeah, I did that. I have fucking worm magic, bitch. I was so worried that was gonna
It'd be like Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 opening scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly like that. But like she was somehow like driving it from the inside. Like I don't know why. I was really scared that was gonna happen.
That part when
I totally agree that what you're suggesting for an ending probably would have set up a better sequel to start. That would have been fantastic.
Probably has a lot to do with actors more than anything. Like Zendaya needed to have. Well, like Zendaya needed to be there, but also he has. Paul has. What I really do like about the ending, actually,
is she in high demand or something? Another
no,
13
but,
Spider-Man movies to make?
If you're gonna have Zendaya and you give her like fucking 5 seconds of screen time, she's not gonna want to sign on for the next movie. She's gonna go do other commitments. Like I don't know. It seems like it would.
But
be
if
like
you pay her,
I don't think her contract
$1,000,000
would not allow her to do that since they didn't have the second movie greenlit.
That's happened in another movie
Yeah,
recently where
so-
someone was huge in the promos and then they weren't in the first.
Yeah,
part of
that
it.
was.
Yeah.
That
Can't
was
remember
the
what-
that was the second Alien reboot movie.
Oh
It
yeah, yeah.
had who was it, like Matt Damon or something as the captain, and he's
Matt
dead before
Damon.
the movie started.
that was that was
James Franco.
James Franco, yeah.
James Franco.
Oh, it's James Franco. Oh
Yes.
man.
Oh, I forgot
they
about
only
that.
Show him in a flashback on a tablet. That's it.
Well,
That's right.
that guy's bad news, anyways. But
He's
the
too busy diddling women.
yeah, Jesus, fucking one of hundreds apparently. But the thing I really did like about the final scene in the movie was that I was having like not a hard time, but I was really curious about how his like future vision shit worked. Like I was like, what is going on with this shit? Like
What are
it's
the
so
rules?
weird. You like saw that Duncan was dead, and then Duncan didn't actually die before he got there, but then like Duncan kind of died in like a similar way, like later on, but it wasn't exactly the same way. And I was like, I don't really understand this at all. And then it's like having like flash forwards of that guy, like teaching him all about the desert and stuff. And then he has like a very unclear, like, I think I get stabbed or somebody's getting stabbed. And then suddenly it becomes really obvious what's happening. He can see the future, like, but it's like the potential future.
Yeah, I
And
think
so-
that's what's going on. There's different
Yeah.
versions of the future he's seeing.
It's a
Exactly.
potential, and he's also misinterpreting them.
It's called
Yeah.
it's not foresight, it's called prescience or prescience. It's an
Mhm.
actual
Called the Green Sight.
no, what's it called? Fuck off, Game of Thrones.
Can he see
Um,
2 minutes into the future?
It's kind of like from that Nicolas Cage movie Knowing.
Like next?
Or Next. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ah, we always bring it back to next.
If you actually read the book, Paul Atreides actually was a magician in Las Vegas. No, so So what was actually happening is it's prescience. It's an actual phenomenon. That's the word I was looking for. Phenomenon that happens even now in this day and age, where you have this like feeling.
Sweating my armpit is
nice, dude.
Nice.
Ooh, I'm sweating through 2 shirts. Nice.
right.
Now that's live.
Oh, it's like freezing here. It's weird.
I've
I
sweat.
know. I'm on 68 degrees in my apartment. But anyways, yeah. So it's an actual thing, but it's not like deja vu where it feels like this feels kind of familiar. It's like
Right, because that's Denzel.
And that's multiple universes.
That's a different movie. Yeah.
I love deja vu.
Stay with Nick Cage on this one.
Yeah.
So, but no, that's what it's based on. So prescience is like
Yeah.
not actual foresight, but it's like what Ben said. It's like what could be.
Yeah, you can see what might come to pass, which is really interesting because that like little magic system that they were introducing, I think was introduced and paid off really well, regardless of how sour Zendaya's face looked to you guys. For me, like I had just the right amount of curiosity, and then at the end, I had the right amount of like, oh, I fucking get it. Like that's the reason that he can beat this guy. But this guy's also the dude that like taught him how to survive in the desert, and now he's killing him. And I was like, that's really fucking like, man, they could have been like homies in like another version of this like future, but instead they ended up fucking murdering each other. And I was like, that sucks, but this power fucks. Like that's cool. I really like that, and it made sense to me. So I do.
Yeah.
I like that power was paid off in that way. It was probably the best thing about the ending. I do think character stories were not like probably suffered as a result of that, but at least some of the world building stuff paid off pretty well, I guess is all I'm saying. Like, so I don't know, it's kind of wishy-washy. I think the biggest problem is really just like, fundamentally this movie does not work in a vacuum. It would not work as its own thing. That there's more coming, and that's why this movie is like, that's part of the reason why this movie is good, which I don't really think it's a great foundation for storytelling. I think it works for this movie, but like that is it's on shaky ground, and thank God they got a part 2, because otherwise I would never fucking come back and watch this movie.
I'm never watching this movie again. So I did want to touch on something that Jeremy did say though. There is a thing that maybe Variety or Insider does where they do breaking down the cut. Have you seen this, Dad? Where they go over a scene. Have you guys seen this? It's on YouTube.
Oh, I saw this YouTube video. I didn't watch it though.
But they break down the Gom Jabbar scene very early on in the movie. But one thing Denis Villeneuve says, which is something I don't agree with, is he said, I made this movie for me. I didn't make this movie for anybody else. And it's like, dude, you're making a blockbuster movie. That's what Dune was marketed as. You can't make this movie for yourself. That's not fair. That's not how this works. You don't get millions and millions of dollars to make it for yourself. It doesn't really.
Yeah, and what is your expectation that we're all just gonna?
Yeah, and I think this is the barrier that gets set up because again, the Rooster Teeth podcast they were talking about doing a little bit. Gus, which is a guy that didn't like anything that was. He basically shared my dad's point of view. Didn't like the way it was set up. Didn't like the little exposition that was given. He wanted more world. He didn't like he'd never read Dune. He was never. He says in the podcast he was never nerd enough to like Dune. Which is hot take,
fuck you, Doug.
Because he really likes. There's things that are way nerdier than Dune. I'm sorry.
Like calculus.
Yeah, or what we do every Tuesday.
Pretty nerdy.
And then one of the other guys, Blaine, like he's like, yeah, I read Dune when I was like in middle school, and it's his favorite book is Dune, the first Dune, and he loved the movie. And so, if you're making a movie for someone like yourself, so like Denis Villeneuve also read this book when he was 14, and that's his favorite book too, is Dune. And so he's making it for himself. He's only going to be making it for himself and other people who view it the same way as he does. So only Blaine, this other dude who also, that's his favorite book, is also going to be the only person that sees what he sees and can pick up on it and feel the same way about it, because it's too much of a passion project, if that makes any sense. Is that unfair to say?
Yeah.
That's totally fair, yeah.
It is. Yeah. It's a movie that is going to be viewed by millions of people.
I got another controversial statement.
Go ahead.
I don't think he's a sci-fi director. I think he thinks he is, but I don't think
He's
he
a
is.
fantasy director, but he does
Well, hold on, I'm not
sci-fi
done.
movies, which is why I
I'm
like
not done. My point is Blade Runner 2049, not good. Beautiful,
Love it.
not good.
Love it.
Arrival,
I think it's great.
beautiful, not great.
Love
Whoa!
it. Love Arrival.
Hold on,
Really?
Got some
Sicario,
wrong opinions.
Sicario, great movie.
Oh, I don't know. Sicario.
Hell yeah, I love
Prisoners.
Sicario.
Sicario's great.
Prisoners is
Sicario's
his
fantastic.
best movie. Prisoners is fucking great.
I
Has
disagree.
nothing to
It's
do
a
with
brutal
sci-fi.
movie. Yeah.
Brutal movie, heavy movie, great acting, heavy story, great story. I don't think he's a sci-fi guy. He keeps doing
Man.
sci-fi. I don't think he's good at it.
Daryl, I
he's
feel
the
like
dramas.
you
Strong opinion.
I feel like you just
Yeah.
told the entire podcast that Bill Murray and Steve Martin are basically interchangeable. Like that is a
You're
really
right.
controversial.
I guess I am the Ben of this podcast.
This episode.
But
That's an
what-
interesting
and-
point
and-
because I think that Prisoners is. I still really, really like.
I
Prisoners.
love Prisoners.
That is the movie of his that I like the least.
Really,
I still think it's
I
a
think
really good movie, but it's the least.
I like it the best out of all of his stuff. This is again like we talk about all the time, interpretation and
I
art.
think
and on and
Arrival
on and
is
on.
probably his best movie, but
Really, I think
Arrival.
Sicario
Arrival. Is that the?
Me
is
and
that the
Doug
one with
laughed.
I've
Amy
never seen
Adams?
Sicario.
Remember
Is that the
Remember
one
Doug?
with Amy Adams?
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
Doug,
Where
remember?
Costello goes into the death scenario or process.
It said,
or whatever.
yeah, Costello
I
experienced
never
the
laughed
death
so
process.
hard in a theater.
Me and Doug
It's
laughed
fun.
out loud in the theater. We weren't supposed to laugh. We were laughing.
Oh,
out loud.
experience
Dumbest
death
thing.
process.
Death process. We were laughing so fucking hard.
I like
Oh
it.
my god, the big alien elephants are going through the death process.
That's sad.
Oh,
It's really
that was
sad.
hilarious.
They can't
That was
communicate
funny.
like perfectly. Like
Yeah, if
you're
you
just
could only talk
laughing
in
at
circles, come on.
Yeah, like we do on this show.
Hey.
Because I'm looking
back.
through his I wish he'd stop making sci-fi, honestly,
Oh, I love it.
because I don't think he's good at it.
It's
Because Blade Runner
no,
2049,
you're right.
not good.
You're
Yeah, I
so
loved it.
wrong about that.
I loved it.
Not
I
good.
can't believe you don't like
Fantastic
2049. It is
Very
so
controversial.
it works so well
It's
with
so
the
good.
original Blade Runner.
Not at
too.
all.
It also
Again,
works on
kind
its
of-
own without the context of Blade Runner. in
I-
my
And it
opinion.
also works on its own.
It's an unnecessary film.
Yes.
It's an unnecessary
All
film. We
films
don't
are
need it.
unnecessary.
No, not true. Not true at all. Blade Runner saved my life. No, it just we
That's not
didn't
saying
need it, and I think
Too long. Blade Runner 2049 is.
I
also
needed
too
it.
long.
My body needed
Yeah.
it. My mind needed it, and I was satisfied.
Too damn long.
I think it's got some. It was way too damn long.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It is long, but
I think that.
Do you think
I
he
think it started out
overcorrected by
great.
going too short on this one?
Yes, I think this was.
I
Too,
do
and Ben,
think
I
it
think you
went
had a
too
good point, Ben. Because if you watch the old one, you guys got to watch 84 now. The people haven't seen it, because you'll notice you're like, oh wait, all the dialogue scenes are pretty much the same. Because I think you're right, Ben. I think that's all there is.
I'm pretty
And
sure
I think that's
all
my
there is.
problem. Is they should have added more dialogue scenes. And that's what's funny because Denis said that the next one's gonna be all action because this one was all talking. I was like, I wanted more talking in this one. I wanted more
it's
talking.
strange. It's strange that if the movie was more heavy on the politics and more heavy on the dialogue and the interpersonal like connection between characters, I think I would have liked
needed
it a
more of
lot
that.
more. Like a
I
lot
think-
more.
I think
It's
you have
crazy,
Josh
right?
Brolin's
'Cause
character.
it would have been a
while they're-
slower burn.
Well, actually, so
but I
this
would've liked
sounds
it
an
more.
awful lot
Couldn't have
like,
been any slower.
this sounds an awful lot like what Dana was saying about Denis Villeneuve in general, though, is that this guy fucking loves Dune. Probably, if Dune itself is in dire need of somebody to do like a fucking Android's Dream of Electric Sheep thing, where you like add content and you change shit just to make it a more palatable cinema story, which is fine. Like I get that has to happen, but maybe it's challenging with something as beloved as Dune. You went and got the guy who fucking read it when he was 14. He's going to be like, I'm not going to add things to Dune. Dune's like
Exactly.
the Bible
Yeah.
to me. I'm not going to
Yeah.
change scenes and
He's a
Dune.
Dooney.
Yeah.
He's a Dooney.
I mean, this is
That's
why
why
he's
he
a
hired
dooner.
Josh Brolin.
this is why
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings works so well as movies is because they
Because Peter
chopped it up
Jackson
properly.
fucking hates Tolkien. He would punch Tolkien in his face if he met
They
him.
actually
So,
took,
and
he's
they
like-
took
but-
a trip as the Fellowship to go pee on his grave.
Well, he probably was like, yeah, I love the Lord of the Rings, but it's shit. So I'm gonna make it not shit.
Well, the
It needs a
problem with
Simeon
it,
Radicus in it.
well,
Yeah.
this is why people were like, Lord of the Rings is untouchable. We can't. It's impossible to make a movie out of because of the way that the Lord of the Rings was presented. Again, it has to
Yeah.
do with the way that Tolkien cut those books out because they make no fucking sense. They're also not good. They're not good books. They're great
Okay, all right.
stories.
I can't believe you're saying
Hold
this.
on.
He can say that.
They have, as the biggest Lord of the Rings fan, I have well within my rights to say this. to use my uncle's, that's fine. That's fine. Put those away. So to use my uncle's example,
Put them away.
there is a scene in Rivendell where they are singing their favorite bath song. And there's a problem with that because it implies that they have multiple bath songs, and this one just happens to be their favorite.
Their favorite.
Whoa, you don't have multiple bath songs?
That is
Right.
fucked. That is fucked.
Why is
Do
that
not
so
have that.
fucked?
Why does that
Sorry.
bother
That's
you?
It's stupid.
Cute.
Because it's stupid.
Stupid. Don't
No.
They have
sing.
bad songs.
Get rid of them.
But if they had a singular bath song, it'd be chill.
Then it'd be fine.
it would be better.
No, there
the
should be
one
no
bad song.
fucking
There
bath
should be no
songs,
bath
guys.
songs.
Okay, so you don't like the fact
No
that
bath
the
songs.
bath songs.
You know what I,
exist.
Nobody should be
you know what I
singing
learned
while they're scrubbing
recently?
unless it's a Disney movie, okay?
You know what I learned recently, which I don't
Singing
know
and
if
scrubbing.
I brought this up on the podcast,
Singing
but
and scrubbing.
apparently,
It's a new podcast.
Yeah.
We all have
apparently, Lord of the Rings, apparently, like Tolkien invented not just the concept of like, you know, there's elves and there's dwarves and they have like their own things. He invented the concept of fantasy having any sort of rigidity towards cultural structures at all. Like the idea that elves are a group that has their own history is entirely Tolkien's creation. Like it used to just be there's the Fae and they exist in the woods and
They're
like
just,
they're
like,
all the
fun
same
creatures.
shit. Elves,
Yeah.
elves and dwarves and gnomes, whatever. They're all fucking unknowable entities that live in the woods, like, but they're all the same thing. Tolkien was the one that came up with the idea of fucking races in fantasy. That blows my mind.
And you
I
know-
can't think of fantasy like in any other context.
Mhm. And he did this to explain the world of The Hobbit better. This wasn't even to explain Lord of the Rings better. This is to explain The Hobbit. Which is
What about
crazy,
when did
which is
Tom
a children's
Bombadil
book,
show up?
The first book. But you know,
Stupid ass
another
name.
thing
Tom
that's
Bombadil
interesting-
was a swing and a miss.
Hey, I love Tom Bombadil. I love his character. I think that character.
Dan's a
is-
lover of the
That's my
Bombadil.
favorite.
I think it's
Yeah.
hilarious.
That's my favorite.
He's so powerful that he doesn't even care about the ring. He's like, I don't know what this is, and he doesn't care.
I'm gonna make
That's
it past
hilarious.
that. So
Yeah, and he can like.
He's
make
like
it
an
disappear and
eldritch
shit.
horror.
Yeah,
But he's so goofy.
I love Tom Bombadil. He's ridiculous. Another thing that Tolkien did, which is very interesting, is he actually created the word elven because before it was elfs, it was ELFS, which is stupid, and dwarves too. It was dwarfs. It was DW.
Oh yeah, that's right, dwarves. And
But
he got
then he created a
corrected.
bath song and then ruined everything.
and then
so.
ruined it.
No.
Get that
He
shit
created
outta
the
here.
existence
he
of
created
multiple bath
multiple
songs.
bath
That's right.
Very
Hey,
good.
hey,
if
really?
he had
Hey, Doug,
if he had quit while he was ahead with one, he
can you imagine a
Yeah.
whole book of bath songs? Hey, Doug,
It's
so
probably
in
gonna be in
1984, remember the 1984 version of Dune? And you just watched and I just watched it. The very beginning, I believe these are Harkonnen that show up because they're wearing the
Are they bald?
the sweet
guys in
jackets.
black, yeah.
And then
And
this,
they've got that brain with the
the brain vagina
the
mouth
T-Rex
creature.
arms.
Okay,
What
I
is
watch
They
that
roll
thing?
up in a bus.
And they really
Yeah.
fucking dropped that.
Dude, you guys gotta
Like a
watch it.
greyhound? What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
pretty much. That's what happens.
I don't
It's
know
not
if
a
I
movie. Go back
want
to
to.
shit.
How long
And it's
is this
floating in a
Dune?
in a
Is it
liquid or
also
something.
2 hours?
It's
and
also very
35
long.
minutes?
Oh,
It's
God.
It's like 3
And
hours.
it's like
It's-
80s long too, so it's gonna be terrible.
Yeah.
80s
Oh,
long. It's
And
it's a
understand
real
that this
shit.
covers more than
Here
what
it
we've
is.
seen
I
in
found
the
it.
2021.
Okay,
Yeah.
well that's nice. It's
So-
shorter.
There's
but
a lot
like
of
I said, you got to make it till Patrick Stewart is riding a sandworm.
I don't wanna
Okay.
watch
Holding his pug.
This is
Yeah,
Riding
hold
a
on.
sandworm.
There's a lot of internal brain
Whoa.
talking in the 84 one too to try to explain things, and it makes
that.
it
Oh,
worse.
terrible.
What?
Makes it
Oh,
worse.
man.
Oh yeah.
Like-
Oh, man.
Like in
internal.
books
There
when they
is
have
narration in
like
this
italicized
movie.
text.
At the beginning.
These are my internal thoughts. No, he's it's
Yeah, they do a lot of that
voiceover.
internal
But it doesn't help.
shit.
Yeah.
And it's all mindless.
And there's a lot of
Man.
eyebrows. A lot of
Hell
eyebrows.
yeah, I'm looking
And
at the screen
Sean Young
stills.
is in it.
Huge eyebrows.
Wow,
So,
they got some major eyebrow.
Brad Dourif's
action.
in it.
Yeah, true.
So,
Brad
there you go,
Dourif,
Danon,
Sean
Brad Dourif.
Young, Dean Stockwell.
Virginia
there's
Madsen.
that-
She plays the daughter of the.
Right.
She's a real banger in this.
There's
She's
that,
a real banger.
There's that dude who is the priest in Werewolf in Silver Bullet.
He was also the in Quest for Fire. He was one of the cavemen, and they didn't have to
Right.
do any makeup. He just already looked like a cave
That's
guy.
great.
So,
And again, Sean Young plays the Zendaya part.
oh, she's beautiful in it.
this one.
She's
And,
beautiful,
uh,
and
She
that was
doesn't
a
look like
back. She was Rachel
I
from
wanna
Blade Runner.
face.
I want to talk about one thing that another thing that I didn't like about the new Dune, since we're back on Dune.
Tom Bombadil.
I don't like how from the end. Yes, Tom Bombadil. Thank you. The
right.
entire, as soon as Arrakis is given to House Atreides, everybody's like, something's up.
Yeah.
How the fuck does all of House Harkonnen get there and blow their shit up if from the very second they got Arrakis they were suspicious? How does that happen?
Because
Please
the doctor
explain.
turned off the shields.
Because the
I don't
doctor
care.
fucked
They
them.
weren't expecting a counterattack. They were talking about it from the.
They just all went to bed and
The
left it to
dude-
the doctor to turn the shields
the
off.
dude.
Okay,
almost
yeah,
killed
that's true.
The Duke's
Kinda
son.
dumb.
He had
They
access to their
also
Google
the
Home.
almost
Oscar
killed
Isaac
Paul,
character.
and he was
he
like,
has-
"We gotta find him," and then they do, nothing about it about their defense.
Alexa, shut off
shields.
Actually,
Actually-
are you kidding me?
So
Yeah, that's
stupid.
actually a good point.
That was
Also, Oscar
stupid.
Isaac's character, he has
was
like
mad.
3 security guards. He's like the most important dude in this entire fucking facility, and he's got like 3 dudes standing
It was
around,
very
and they get
unfortunate.
blow darted.
I think his wife
all
has
bring their
more
weapons in, too.
security when she's interviewing maids or whatever it is, and that one maid has a sword or something.
How'd
Yeah.
you get
Because they're all like,
She says that's not even a wife, that's a concubine, whatever that means.
That's
whatever.
right.
Yeah, so that's the thing that felt like to me is like it felt like everybody in the movie already knew it was going to happen.
Which is
So let's
really
just get to
weird.
it.
It was really weird. I really didn't like
Yeah.
the pacing of the betrayal and stuff. It's like, but everything.
And
Yeah, that
again,
definitely could've been
look,
Did feel like a
man, when
betrayal.
we reveal it's the doctor guy, I was like,
yeah,
hey, I saw you before.
Yeah. Hey, you
Yeah.
said
I
this is
recognize
Dark
you.
Oh,
You're
you spoke
from
Mandarin for a
before
minute.
in the
I did
movie.
like that gas
I
tooth
care.
with the 3-inch wires that he just kind of surgically put
Oh,
in
gas tube
on the
is
on the
playing
stone
weenie
steps
roll.
out there while he was
Yeah.
dying.
Dude.
Here, take
Dude, that was
this.
it. That was
Dude,
the gas
fucking
tube
gas
yesterday.
tube. Yeah.
was really
Oh,
funny.
that's how my green
Old
shit came out
gas
of my
tube.
gas tube.
You crushed it.
Bringing
And
it
you're
back.
breathing on everybody.
It'll
No,
wipe my
it was-
gas tooth.
that part was pretty poorly.
And somehow the
Executed,
Baron
yeah.
ends up floating to the
I
ceiling.
liked that though. I
like
actually
that.
really liked the
I
way
like
he
that. It was
survived.
cool, but
He
Weird.
turned to a poison balloon on the ceiling.
He
turned
was
into-
like he was such a little bitch up there. He was like,
in the 1984 one, the Baron just is floating everywhere like he got a tank of helium.
And he
on his
totally
back.
looks like he's on wires the whole time. It's really terrible.
Is he
Yeah.
like
oh,
pitch forward a
what?
little bit?
I
He
thought
is
he was
actually
actually
just-
really. I thought
No,
he was
no,
really
it-
creepy.
No, in this one it was
84.
good. No, they
Yeah.
did the floating right. The 1984 one, he's just he looks like I'm on a harness now. It's really terrible. Oh,
Very
I know.
cheesy.
I
no,
mean,
this one, yeah,
it really,
this one
it
looked
really
cool.
was weird.
Yeah.
It-
No,
it
No,
Good
see, this
line.
is one of the things that this dude did great was the Baron was fan fucking tastic. I think they
He was
nailed
cool.
that.
It was very cool.
It was
Um,
evil.
It was very evil and scary, and they did his floating properly. It wasn't this
Well,
ridiculous
he used
floating
it to
out of nowhere.
impose people. He wasn't always floating. You know, whenever he was being
Yeah.
challenged or whenever he was asserting himself, he would
Like,
rise. Yeah.
like the vampires and
Yeah, and
during
He
the
looked
flat.
very threatening in this movie. Yeah.
Very
the
threatening.
1984 when he floats a lot.
It
So
looks real goofy.
it's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
stupid.
Shouldn't
Overused.
float.
He's
Also,
all-
Sting is in
they
it.
got all that stage lighting over him, and
It's a lot of bad lighting too.
If he's not floating, then that doctor's sucking pus out of the
Yeah.
Out of his face, yeah.
stuff
Then they
on
can
his
move rest.
face.
A sucker.
And
Yeah.
Sting
Yeah.
from the police is in the 84
I was
one.
just gonna
True.
Oh,
say,
thank God.
They cut his
I
character
have
out.
the,
That character's not in the new one.
IMDb.
No,
Yeah,
And he's
afraid.
we first meet him. He's
Rafa.
wearing,
there's a number of characters that were cut in Dune Light in this Dune.
and in the
Diet Dune.
the Sting when we meet him. I think in the 84 one he's wearing Diet Dune.
Dune
Diet
Zero.
Dune.
Dune Zero. 'cause
Zero
it's
calories.
exposition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dune Zero.
Zero exposition.
Tastes the same though.
And then the 1984
Same
one,
great
though,
original flavor.
Lady Jessica's she's also a banger in that one too. Good looking broad.
So
I can't remember the actress's
I
name,
wanted
but-
to talk about something else though. One thing I really
Yeah.
liked about it is that I really liked that Paul Atreides wasn't a little bitch because
Yeah.
in I really like the Star Trek reboots. 2009 Star Trek was a fantastic movie, but you're basically that one and then the sequel. You're basically just watching Captain Kirk getting his ass handed to him over and over and over. Same thing, and again with Lord of the Rings, Frodo, not a strong character. He does
Right.
he almost never stands up for himself. So
Yeah,
I want
it's
to
kind
talk
of
about
annoying.
little
He's
bitches.
He's this big though. It's pretty hard
Yeah,
to.
I know,
Okay.
but
Fucking Star Wars, my favorite movie series. Episode 4, Luke is almost insufferable.
he is
We're
very
supposed-
wanted.
He
he's
is
supposed to be
indeed.
there.
Cry so much.
Constantly shouting complaints into the camera the entire movie.
So whiny.
What's
so
that?
annoying.
What's that thing? What are you
then
doing?
cries over a guy.
Fuck Tashi Station and the power converters.
Okay, that's my favorite problem with A New Hope, as people call it, Star Wars, is his aunt and uncle who raised him get turned into barbecued chicken on the front lawn. Doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm
Uncle,
out of here.
you know what? Obi-Wan gets killed. He just met this fucker an hour ago, right? They fly in a space adventure, gets killed, and no, and then later, he's all sad, and his sister who creeping on, don't know their sister, but what's wrong? Oh, just Ben. I just loved him so much. I met him in a day yesterday. It's so stupid.
Like how many?
What about
how many
your aunt and
harvests
uncle?
did he?
I forgot about the barbecue twins. It makes no
barbecue.
I mean, he even saw their skeletons fried with a.
He literally
Yeah,
saw that. Yeah.
That's going to stay with you for a couple of, it's going to bother you for a while.
He took tongs and turned them over. And...
They're done.
He was halfway through eating them before he realized who it was.
Exactly.
It still kept going.
These puppies are done.
That's what, when he comes back too,
On off the
and they're
grill.
burning Jawas, right? And all Luke says, well, there's nothing more for him now.
Yeah, they killed his aunt and uncle, and they killed all the Jawas. What the fuck
Yeah,
are
right.
they gonna do?
And he smells the burning Jawas, and he says, "Hey, this smells familiar."
Yeah.
Uncle Owen.
Yeah. Jawas need A1 sauce like my Uncle Owen was covered
No, my
with.
favorite insufferable scene of Luke in New Hope is when he's standing in the cockpit while they're being chased by TIE fighters, and they're like being shot at. And he's sticking his hand in Han Solo's face, pointing at the fucking flashing lights. He's like, "What do those mean?" And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up! Get out of the cockpit, Luke."
Well, he's so, he's supposed to be a whiny kid,
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Character
really
arc, I
sells it
understand,
well,
but,
but
like,
Yeah. Now, if he was still doing that in Jedi, it would have been a little annoying. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
that's
But
No.
it is actually pretty cool because in Jedi you can see a tangible difference between
he still kicks
those
ass at
three
Jabba's
movies.
palace.
Oh, absolutely.
He totally
Yeah.
misses that guy in the face with that kick, though. But everything else is pretty good.
Yeah.
But no, I would just want to say, like, I really like that Paul Atreides could actually kick ass. Like he doesn't.
He was
the
no
Prussians-
pushover.
Yeah, the Prussians
in this
doesn't
movie.
give him any edge over that dude that he fights at the end. He just knows that either he's gonna die or this dude's gonna die. That's it.
But they also showed him being trained by Josh Brolin's character. So
He is trained by Thanos. So I mean,
And his mom. He's trained by multiple
and
entities
Jason
in
Momoa.
different
So,
styles.
By
with a snap
Aquaman.
of the finger,
that's what I like.
that,
I mean,
that guy's dead.
Got
even,
Thanos, Aquaman,
Pirates of the
training
Caribbean.
you.
Like a lot of the characters in Pirates of the Caribbean are terrible fighters. They barely make it out of there. But Paul Atreides is actually really good. Like he gets that guy into basically like a kill strike several times, trying to get him to yield. And they're like, "No, we fight to the death," and he's like, "Okay," and then kills him, and then has a hard time. I really like that. He was actually a capable fighter, and he could use the voice not super well, but like he was getting there.
Well, he's like Jon Snow, right? Remember when Jon Snow is at
Sure.
Castle Black, and
He's a
he's
good
just
fighter.
like fucking wiping the floor with these peasants,
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, yeah,
He
had a
was
master at
a
arms.
Lord. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was
Mhm.
trained by a master
So-
at arms. It makes sense for him.
So I think
to-
it makes sense for Paul Atreides as well to be a really good fighter because it's almost the exact same situation. He was fucking
Trained by
grew up-
Thanos.
Trained by Thanos.
That's just what House Atreides did. Is that from they're a fighter. That's what they do. They're fighters. So
right.
it was cool to see that in a main character who's supposed to be the chosen one, and it kind of makes sense. When you're looking at that on screen and you're like, okay, I could follow this guy.
It,
Like, I
it
would
gives
believe
him a certain level of like, you're supposed to be the main character. Yeah, like I
like, it
get
makes
it. You're
sense.
supposed
Yeah.
to
He
be
was-
the chosen.
but he was being-
credibility.
That's what
but
I
he
was
was being
looking for.
prepared like that for a different reason.
True.
By the
Right.
Benny
For
Gesserit or
being the
whatever.
Messiah, because the
Benny
only
and the
people that
Benny
was-
Jazz.
Benny and the
Bene
Jesuits.
Gesserit. Well,
preparing him
specifically
for-
by his mom, right? The Bene Gesserit
Needleneck, yeah.
particularly
Yeah.
approve of him
Is because
becoming.
he was learning fighting from Josh Brolin's character, who's being played by Patrick Stewart in 1984. And then he's getting all the magical powers from his mom, and I believe it's his dad who's talking about him getting his destiny from both parents
Yeah.
or both sides, and so it does kind of make sense that he is able to at least handle himself
He's the most believable chosen one I think I've ever seen, and it blows
Since
also,
Anakin Skywalker, obviously.
Well, they got rid of that.
Well, he had
It's
mini
Rey as the chosen
chlorians,
one because they
so that doesn't
rewrote it.
count.
Oh
They
yeah,
retconned
but
it
those
in the
movies don't exist.
Yeah, I'm
I-
sorry, but
don't
they are
exist.
canon. But like Harry Potter is a great example too. Harry Potter is terrible at schoolwork, and he barely knows any spells except for Expelliarmus, and it
That
just
is
so
true.
happens to save his ass.
It's the only one you need to know,
by the
man.
skin of
Yeah,
his
dude.
teeth, and it
All
makes
you
That's
need
the
is
only
some-
spell you ever need to know
makes
ever.
All you need is
no
some
sense.
and some gilly
Well,
weed.
when
and
you've
you're
got
good.
when you've got the lightning bolt scar, you can just kind of kick back at school.
If
You know
Paul
what?
Kidd
You're
had a
the
lightning
You're the boy
who
bolt,
lived.
You know they got that
Yeah.
whole no
Expelliarmus.
child left behind,
Expelliarmus.
even at Hogwarts. So.
Fucking, if there's one thing I've learned growing
no
up, it's
Hogwarts
that-
left behind.
one thing I've learned growing up is that Severus Snape is right. Harry Potter is an entitled little prick.
He is, dude. He's a little fucker.
What a little fucking shitlord.
He lived under stairs. Does that help?
Makes me just feel bad.
That
for him.
developed absolutely.
Dude, can you
no
imagine
character
every
in
time his
Harry
fat
at
uncle was
all.
walking up the stairs and you're laying under him and you're like, this is
Oh,
it. He's going to
man.
fall through. I know it.
This is
He's
the one.
fucking
This is the
Baron
one. He's like
Harkonnen right to
bracing
these
himself.
stairs. Right? He's going to
This is
sit
it.
in and it's going to be done.
Yeah.
He's going to smash my face right into, and I'm going to look like Zendaya.
I can't believe you just made that click for me. Fucking Severus Snape was absolutely right about Harry Potter.
Oh, he totally is. He totally is. Harry Potter's a piece of shit. Like he has
He's
no
such
business
a little fucker.
defeating the most powerful wizard of all time. That is, he does call out Dumbledore in the end, where Dumbledore says it's love that you have. It's like that's fucking bullshit, J.K. Rowling. God,
Yeah.
she deserved to be canceled.
Well,
Anyways,
I
so
know we're talking about. Well, really quick, can I just say that's one of the things I love about the Harry Potter stories is that when they made Snape in love with Harry's mom and stuff, I loved all that shit.
oh no, that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That was great.
I'm a big
Harry
fan of
Potter
love.
Is still one of
I
my
love love.
favorite universes.
So-
I love those books. They're some of the best.
Even with
written books.
Dobby.
Love
Yes.
Dobby.
It was written by a terrible
What do you-
person.
Yeah, it was
but
written
the
by
books
a-
are still good.
Well, did she,
Art-
feel like
art
she
from the
became
artist, art from the
terrible.
artist.
Is she a terrible person? I didn't know that.
She lived long
Well,
enough to become the villain.
yeah, she fucking started saying some shit on Twitter. It started with the fucking like the pooping in corners and whisking it away, and then it just fucking snowballed into
Wait, what?
like,
And then she just really
First-
didn't care and leaned into it.
yeah, she
Yeah,
like doubled
everyone
down
should
on
just
her universe.
stay
and
off
wouldn't
Twitter.
shut
Just
the
don't be
fuck
on
up.
Twitter.
Yeah, it's
Just
not
don't
good.
do it, guys.
She's
Just
like,
don't-
"Fuck you guys! I'm a billionaire. I'll say what I want."
Well, yeah,
And she
exactly.
said more.
When
And
you
then
get
she
fuck you
wrote
money,
more.
yeah, when you get fuck you money, you can shit in corners and sweep it away. Apparently, I don't know what you're talking about, but I
I've
like
never
This is how
heard
wizards-
this. Yeah.
This is
how
like
wizards
one of the
would get rid of
lighter
poop.
things. She said some like really like we should get into it on a podcast, but she said some really like
Untasteful.
really offensive stuff. Yeah, but the like it started in like a place of like I'm just gonna start adding things to the universe. You know, before like they actually got toilets from Muggles. Before they had toilets, they would just shit their
Oh,
pants.
yeah, her
and
dumbass
magic
is
it
trying to
away.
stay relevant. Yeah,
Yeah.
her dumbass.
Well, this is
trying to
also
stay
when she
relevant.
came up with the Dumbledore's gay thing. Because if you read the books and didn't know that Dumbledore was gay, you would never know. You know,
Yeah,
but
it was
it's just
dumb.
something that she added.
trying to stay
like,
relevant.
To you know,
Yeah,
or
probably.
maybe
If she
appeal
wanted
to her
her.
audience more or something.
Yeah, she wanted, to, but then like she did not, and things
Yeah.
did not go well
Which
for
is
her.
weird because she hadn't written the seventh book. Although the seventh book hadn't come out yet, so she could have added something to back up her claim, but she didn't. So I feel like she was
About toilets?
But yes, but anyways, we're getting off base and we're getting.
I'm
closer to
so
something
Yeah.
confused.
that could be bad. No, about Dumbledore being gay. I don't care about the toilets. But anyways,
Okay.
so that was one thing I liked about Dune. I liked having a plausible chosen one. Another thing I really like too is and you all should watch that scene where Denis Villeneuve breaks down the Gom Jabberat scene because it's really really well done, and when he goes into detail about it, I really like it. Well, one thing that did stand out to me when I was actually watching the movie was the way that they showed the voice. I loved how they showed the voice. When he first uses it on his mom, and he like you see his mouth move, and then the voice, like you hear it.
That was
I was
cool.
like, "Oh, that's cool." But when
Yeah.
someone who actually really really knows how to use it uses it on him, and she just says, "Come here," and then it just cuts, and he's kneeling down in front of her, and he's like, "Whoa!" And you as an
Yeah.
audience member, you're like, "What just happened? We just lost time." I thought that
And
was
she
really
hit
cool.
and she hits the button and she turns around and she becomes the mentor to the singer.
voice. So,
Oh, what are we talking about?
so, but I liked all that stuff because it's just like that's just like editing shit. You just
Yeah.
you don't need to see that scene where he's walking zombie-like towards her, you know, because he's being controlled by the voice. It's just like we're getting it from his point of view, where all of a sudden he's
Yeah.
just in front of her and he's like, "Whoa!" So
And the
I
fact
like
his
that.
character is just like offended that she did that to him.
Oh, yeah, he's,
How
like, mad
fucking
about it.
dare you?
Yeah, I like that. Too. Like, how dare you use the voice on the Duke's son? Like, you have no right to come in here. Like I like how he was like that too. He's very aware of who he was, you know.
Yeah.
Which a lot of characters that are in that position were like, no, I don't want to be the king, you know, and they'll go and fuck off at the whorehouse. Like a perfect example is another character that he played, the King, where he plays Henry V. Great movie. It's on Netflix. Y'all should watch it. Fantastic.
I like the King very much.
Very good movie. But he doesn't want to be who he is. He doesn't want to be the king's son. He doesn't want to be next in line, and so he just like fucks up at the whorehouse. I'm tired of that shit. I like this guy who knows who he is. He's the duke's son. He doesn't want to become a duke, but he understands the rights and the titles that he owns. You know, and so again, it's a very believable and plausible world, and
it's
chosen
very authentic
one,
sounding.
Yeah, that they've built because
and that scene was very good because it showed the conflicts between the Bene Gesserit as well as the houses. The Bene Gesserit has their own motivation, own loyalties. Even his mom was going to protect that ritual from it had to happen.
If he died, he died. She had completely given in.
She was hoping he'd live, but she was going to stop anyone from intruding into that, even though that was her son.
The Bene Gesserit knew that. She says none of the guards are going to get past your mother.
Yep.
Which is
that's right.
Awesome. I really like
so separate from the emperor, separate from the houses, the Bene Gesserit have their own goal, own alignment, which is fucking awesome.
They're the Bene Gesserit, but is the main old lady's name Bene Gesserit?
Ben and Jerry.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Ben and Jerry.
Is that what
Her
happened
name
with
is
ice cream over the 10,000, 20,000 years?
Yep.
Oh my God!
become a
Imagine that would be the
religious
biggest
society?
twist. Holy shit! Ben and Jerry's became this magical order of nuns.
Dude,
I
mean,
could
it makes
totally
sense.
see that happening.
Well, Duncan Idaho's brother is Cherry Garcia. That makes sense.
Dude, that would be good if there was a flavored Dunkin' Idaho, and it tasted
Duncan
like
Idaho.
And it was potato.
and it tasted like sand.
You know what?
Spicy
they never
sand.
say his whole name in the movie, and I think that was a really
Dunkin'
smart choice.
Idaho. What a
They
stupid
never
name.
say. They call him
Stupid
Duncan a
name.
couple times.
John,
They never say
Texas.
fucking
Russet
Duncan,
potato.
Idaho.
Yeah, Larry, Minnesota. I mean, come on, movie.
Chucky, Kentucky.
Yeah, Chucky, Kentucky.
It did bother me that some of their the changes they
Robert
made and
California.
how they named things, characters, the prophecy, everything was a little bit different from the previous ones. Like there's a whole big thing in the miniseries about them chanting like the prophecy of Paul and his name in that prophecy, which they completely changed how they say that as a word in this movie. So every time they said it, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Is it his title like what they think he is?
In the miniseries and in the
Matt
books, I
Shotwell
think it's
or whatever.
Muad'Dib. And here they had like 3 different names for him. And I think Mahdi was the like Mahdi was the subtitled word. I'm like, that's not Muad'Dib. That's weird,
Right?
So I don't know.
I wonder-
It kind of threw me off every time because I was expecting to hear the chants in the desert and everything from the Fremen, but it just didn't happen yet.
Interesting.
So you would
Yeah.
recommend the miniseries, Brent?
Yeah, I mean, it's a miniseries in the 90s and 2000s, like late 90s to early 2000s. So you're going to have quality difference. But in the Children of Dune sequel miniseries, it stars, what's his name from who plays Professor X in the new movies?
Patrick Stewart.
No, not Patrick.
No,
That-
it's
yeah.
fucking with that Scottish dude.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Oh,
James
Ewan McGregor?
McAvoy.
James McAvoy stars in Children of Dune.
No way.
But in the first miniseries, you have William Hurt who plays the dad.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Dad
Yeah.
Leto, Atreides. It's a good cast, but
That
you
is a good
still,
cast.
but you're still dealing with the quality of miniseries at that time. But in terms of the story and depth it gets into, it's fantastic. It's great.
Okay.
Interesting.
Children of Dune. This time it's personal. I think it says here.
Children of the Dune.
Yeah.
Children of Dune, Judgment Day.
God.
Children of Dune 3, Back for Blood.
Electric Dune.
All right. Well,
Electric
at the
Dune
risk
Blue.
of talking about the entire miniseries too, should we give our ratings for?
Sure.
the-
Yeah, because I gotta go to bed and stuff here soon.
Mm.
Yeah. I'll go first.
Yeah, do it.
I'll give this movie a 6. I liked a lot of the world building. Like I said, I totally bought into it as soon as I heard the first line. I was just like, luckily I'm really dumb, so I really don't think about movies until after I'm done watching them, which is great because I can get immersed in anything because I only have a 1-track mind. So it worked out great in this case because I was just like, anything that they're gonna feed me, I'm gonna believe. And I totally did, and so I was totally along for the ride. I did have a lot of problems with the plot points. Like I said, there's no way in fucking hell that House Harkonnen, was that the name? Harkonnen?
Close
Harkonnen.
enough.
It's
Harkonnen.
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 House Harkonnen would have rolled up on Arrakis when they did not want to give it up, and House Atreides knew that they weren't gonna want to give it up, and they also expected a retaliation. There should
Right.
be no
Should
fucking
have
way.
showed up on the
Fucking
GPS or
noses.
No
something.
way. Well, they didn't have GPS. They banned them, those idiots.
I know.
Didn't the
That's
spies didn't work
shields.
out then.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the world building I really liked. Like we just talked about. I loved all the stuff with the Chosen One. A very plausible, believable world, I should say, and the way that the rules established in the world made a lot of sense. But yeah, I think just like plot wise, and then the way that they ended the movie, I really didn't like the way that they ended the movie. And then also when I was like, I knew it was gonna be a part one, I was like, okay, I'll read a bit more about Dune. So I looked it up on Wikipedia. I was like, they haven't even greenlit the fucking sequel yet. Are you kidding me? We're gonna
That
have to
was
wait
a big
another
risk.
3 to 4 years.
I wish
to
they'd
watch
made it
part two.
during.
Yeah, I thought
that's
they
what I
were
was
gonna
kind of
Lord of the
hoping.
Rings it or something. You know, where they were gonna.
They
make 'em
should have.
back-to-back.
That sucks that they didn't make them either back or make them at the same time. Something that sucks that they. Well, again, there was not enough faith in this.
Yeah,
Clearly,
it's weird.
the studio didn't have
Yeah.
enough faith in it.
It was really
No,
weird.
that's
They
yeah.
put a
It's too
shit ton of
bad.
money into it, but they didn't think it was going to do it, which is very strange. Also, another 2-part movie was fucking Infinity War, and they did that. That ended and started perfectly. Like it was a 2-part thing. You could watch Infinity War by itself, and you'd be missing a lot of like extra stuff, sure, but they make sense on their own. They end.
And they're
Yeah.
The first
they're
movie
still very
ends
enjoyable movies that you can
very-
follow.
Exactly. I love
On their own.
I love Infinity War, and I'm not as big of a fan as Endgame. So I'll watch Infinity War over and over and over, and just never watch Endgame because I don't need to.
Mhm.
I don't need to watch
Yeah.
Endgame again to get the full story. But they also make sense as separate movies. You could watch Endgame, and it's like, okay, it's 5 years after. It's a perfect place to start it. You can't. I really don't like the way that they did this. It really, really bothered me where they cut it at the worst possible place, and we have to wait another 3 to 4 years to see what happens. So, but yeah, I'll give it a 6, like bordering on 5. Like, yeah, I was not a huge fan of it after the movie was over, but watching it, I was very, very, I was at least I found it enjoyable. It was a very enjoyable movie to watch. So that's my interest.
I'll go next. I won't say much about it because I think I said enough. But I actually will also give it a 6.
Really? Okay.
You know, even with all my problems with it, like I said, I still want it to succeed. I want the second one to help make this one make more sense and round out the story. And I want it to succeed. I want it to make money. I want more movies like this.
Yeah.
Instead of all the shit that's been coming out of
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah. This movie makes you think a lot more than Candyman did.
Whoa, I thought a lot about that.
Not a great example, but like
I
something
have
like that.
thought-
Don't preach to me about politics or any of this other shit. Just tell me a good fucking story. I'm here to be entertained.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all I want. That's all I'm asking for. And so this movie is a good start. Let's keep going in this direction.
Yep.
So again, I'll give it a
I'm there
6.
for it.
I'll go. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. And that's I
You're a
totally understand that that's the
A Dooney.
benefit. Of,
You're a Dooner.
Yeah, I'm a Dooney. It's the benefit of having seen and read through the previous context of the story, and I totally understand if this is a standalone movie, it's not great. Compared to how I view it as a Dune fan.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I still support it as it's presented now is that I didn't want another attempt at a Dune remix, trying to fit everything into one story. I just wanted someone to accept, like, okay, we failed at this before. Let's do it as best we can correctly in a 2-parter. I totally agree it cut at the wrong time. That would have been great to save for the sequel, but I didn't want them to try and change scenes and take things from later in the story and bring it into the first to make it more interesting, or even to add a ton of dialogue that didn't happen to make it a first part 3-hour political movie where you have no idea where the story's going. I think the context that I had and everything I saw on screen was like, oh, this is fantastic. And because I know what's coming up, I'm super excited to see how it's presented in the sequel. Stylistically, and the score, the acting, everything was fantastic. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. But it's totally because I'm a fan of Dune as a story, as a universe, and mainly from knowing everything that came before.
Yeah, I'll go next. For me, I think I touched on this already earlier, but like as somebody who doesn't know Dune super well, like I think I've been kind of force fed content through the internet lately of like it's 20,000 years in the future and computers aren't allowed and like whatever all this shit is, like but like as a first time Dune watcher or like my first Dune experience, dude, it was fucking really cool. The universe seems really badass. There's a lot of moments where I felt like honest to God, like mysticism about like the way that things worked. And like, it was cool. I love the fucking weird, like, croissant that you have to fly through and it's like a wormhole. I love the, God, there's that scene where where they have to have like a private conversation and like one of the guys is like,
oh yeah,
silence.
the cone of silence.
Yeah. And then like you're looking at them and there's subtitles and like this really unsettling like bass rhythm that's like kind of like in the background.
I forgot about that. It
was
cool.
really fucking cool. I was like, yeah, of course they would have like a way to make things like, of course they would have like a private room, but like to do it this way is awesome. Like
it was like the cone of silence in that Steve Carell
That's
spy
smart.
movie.
Yeah.
That's smart.
That's smart.
That's
It's like the
smart.
cone of
That was
silence.
smart, yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
The trapezoid of silence. Love it.
And then there was like, the way the Ben and Gesserit were handled, I actually really liked. I especially love the way they handled their magic system in the presentation of this because I thought that it was just enough. I think their editing tricks and stuff like Dana was talking about were cool, but I also think that like for me, they piqued my interest. I wanted to know how they worked, and then I figured out how they worked, and that felt satisfying as a viewer. And so like just from the perspective of like the sheer mysticism, like the soft science of it, the fact that that's not how Dune is generally presented really appealed to me. It still appeals to me. I would probably give this movie an 8. I'm really excited for the next one. I definitely am biased because I know that the other shit is coming. And like I'm excited for the other shit.
Yeah,
if it wasn't for that, this movie would not stand up to its own. Like it does have serious problems as a standalone piece of media. Maybe we're in a post standalone piece of media world, but I do think it is a very dangerous place to start a story, specifically because they didn't greenlight the second one yet. Like that would have been a real kick in the balls if this was all we got, because it has a lot of potential and it's a lot of really cool stuff. And if it didn't like perform well, then, that would just be the end of like any attempts to make this kind of media, I think. And that would be like, fuck you.
That's a good point.
Yeah. If the sequel was not greenlit, I probably wouldn't rate it as high. I'd say.
Yeah, if in 3 years
it
the
has
sequel
an
has
impact.
gotten canceled, this
It's
movie's gonna
weird.
be like a 3 or 2.
It's a
pacing wise.
It's a really weird thing that the fact that there's a sequel impacts my rating, but I can't help it.
It's
it is
dependent
impacting.
on the sequel.
It
Yeah.
is.
So that's
It's
fair.
just
That's
that
fair.
Dune as a story has failed multiple times in the past, starting with Jodorowsky and then with David Lynch. And it's like, we just don't want to see another failure.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So anyways, yeah, I'd say strong 7, light 8.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go. I actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna give this movie maybe a 5, actually.
Okay.
Um
Higher than I thought, honestly.
and yeah, it was entertaining to watch. I won't watch it again. I'm not going to. I felt like it was long. And the thing is, I think if I was a Dune fan, if I had read the books, this is exactly how I would have wanted the movie to be. Because one of the things it does, like I said earlier, is it does presume a lot. And if you're someone who knows about the Dune universe and you're already familiar with the lore, this is perfect. And if I was a fan of Dune, I would have loved this movie. Like Brent, I think it makes a lot of sense that you like this movie. So I recognize that some of it is just because I don't know the source material and I don't have a prior investment in it. And I would have liked to see more character development. And I don't like the way it ended. I think that was weird to end that way. I think just 15 minutes earlier would have been a lot better. Also, I know everyone loves Hans Zimmer. I love Hans Zimmer. didn't like this score that much.
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was as
I think it's not his best.
crazy and yeah.
Like a little bit over the top.
I didn't want to completely shut it either, but I think it was desperately unmemorable.
Yeah,
it was just
and there's
noise.
So much chanting.
It was just noise.
It's just like
It reminded me of every time
I couldn't think
Wonder
of any
Woman came
theme.
on screen in the Zack Snyder cut.
Oh my god.
yeah, like it was so dramatic, and there's so many. Like I found myself like involuntarily making fun of the score, like while I was watching the movie, like doing my own little fake chants.
You know what's funny? Because I always really quick. I always have the words on at the bottom. What's it called? Closed captioning.
Subtitles.
Because I'm deaf, and it'll say on this one a lot. It said lamenting music or something.
Yes, yeah,
right.
Mhm.
And when I was watching Wonder Woman 1984, that was a lamentation. That was a lot of lamentation music.
Lamentations, that's right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I can't have any more of this lamentation music, man.
Which is
Yeah,
lamentation
man.
is an interesting word to use for something like that because a
Yeah,
lamentation,
the lamentation of the women.
It's more of like
Yeah.
That's how I
like
knew
a
about
cry.
that.
it's like a cry. It's almost like an obituary, but in song form.
Right.
Alanis bread is crying bread.
Yes.
Oh no!
So-
bread again.
Crumbsy's on
yeah.
his jacket.
So full.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, man. So that's it. It's a 5 for
Are
me.
lembas bread? Is it like Elvish MREs?
Yes. What do you mean?
God.
Is it? Yeah, that's like.
Oh
I don't
exactly
eat
what it
Elvish
is.
MREs.
I don't eat nothing wrapped
Oh
in a
my
leaf.
God.
I would have starved on that stinking.
I wipe my butt with a leaf, but I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
I don't eat
eating
nothing
it.
wrapped in a leaf. That's the
No.
hill you're gonna die on.
Right now.
You know they serve
Right
tamales
now.
in leaves sometimes.
Oh, I love tamales, but those are not in leaves. Those are in corn husks.
No,
We're
they
getting
serve
into
them in
tamale
banana.
season.
No, excuse you. They
It's
serve them in
banana
banana leaves in
leaves.
parts of Mexico.
I don't eat banana leaf ones. I leave
Yeah, but if
those
somebody
alone.
gave you a fucking tamale and a banana leaf, you'd eat it. You
I
shit
fucking
lord.
eat up. Kidding. How to talk shit?
What do you mean? You
Uh,
do? It's Ben.
What a
Yeah.
stupid thing! I don't eat nothing in leaves. That's a stupid thing to even say. That's why.
I know. I like.
You always
that.
people, you always get people like that. Oh, I don't eat that.
Yeah, I had to.
Well,
I had
give-
to
I'll give-
engage you on that one.
Yeah, I don't eat
Uh,
yellow food.
Yeah.
I'll give my rating.
Yeah,
please
Doug.
do.
What's
Yeah.
your rating?
I'm gonna give it. I was going back and forth, but I'll give it an 8. I'm not. I've been exposed to Dune. I'm familiar with Dune. I'm familiar with the universe. I wouldn't call myself a fan. Thank you for interrupting again. Um,
I hear a joke, I jump on it.
so, anyway, so I'll just give it an 8.
Nice. Man. Well, Dune, your mom.
All right.
That was a good
On
one.
that one for 2 hours.
Yeah,
I
that
had
was
no
a good
chance
one.
to use it. I was waiting for my chance.
You're just
It
like,
was in
well,
the,
before this podcast is over, I better drop this
I
bomb.
better just throw that out there before we end.
Well, I'm trying to. You said it in the group chat. It was pretty
Oh,
funny.
God.
Yeah, I sent
You
it
got
along
me with
my,
it.
with
Yeah,
my
that was good.
Halloween costume. Yeah,
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
God.
It's a very good costume.
But before this ends, I of course have to put up Patrick Stewart and a pug.
Oh my god, he actually has a bug. What the fuck?
Patrick
What the
Stewart.
fuck?
Oh yeah, see right there. I told you there's the plug.
Why?
It's fantastic.
Okay,
So this
I'll
is
watch
like
this.
Face right there. Look at the
He uses it
guy.
as a shield.
Ah!
He looks like
Is that what
a,
generates
Look
the
at that dog.
a
Yeah,
really
like
excited, like,
It's
get
crazy
down.
how
white
they.
chick.
Isn't
Oh
that
my God.
Zendaya right there with her
You know?
sour lips?
Something, yeah, the old grumpy grandma.
That's Zendaya. I recognize
Yeah,
her
right there,
from the
right
movie.
there.
He was inspired. So Ben's joke in the group chat. So I said, "We doing Dune this week?" Dana said, "Yep, yep," and then Ben said, "Doing your mom."
Doing your mom.
Doing your mom. Got
damn
him.
it.
I got him.
And then he sent a picture of this.
Oh yeah, that's
all
me
I
as a
got
fairy.
from- Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
It's pretty
Man.
shocking. I walked in the bathroom while Ben was getting his makeup done, and I was very.
You know what? I do have one thing to say about this. I like some of my friends did like makeup for me, and like I wore like a wig and cross dress for Halloween.
All right, you know
I
that.
have never received that much attention from women in my entire fucking life, dude. I can't. It was incredible how many compliments and like just general like wanting to be near me and talk to me I had with makeup on. I was like, what the? It was
game changer.
It was
Now
a
you know
game
why emo boys wear eyeliner.
Yeah.
It makes your eyes
Honestly,
pop.
I strongly recommend anybody who's starved for attention just fucking put on makeup, see what happens. Maybe
Some
that'll
of them
work.
make a career out of it.
You get a lot
Yeah.
of-
I think it's peacocking. I will have to agree with you, Ben. Back when I was young and handsome, had long, beautiful hair, I would wear eyeliner and stuff at our shows and stuff like that. I definitely got the most attention when I looked more feminine, even with my girly hair too.
Yeah, no, it was great.
So yeah,
I
'Cause
would-
it was
I would-
different. It was different at the time, especially this early '90s. It was a little bit. Not that everybody wasn't wearing makeup. Everybody was, right? But out of
I
everybody in
have
the
a picture
band,
of it?
I looked the most girlish
It was Ben right there.
for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
there was a moment where Ben walked out and he was like done getting ready with his costume, and I was looking down. And he had somehow gotten his hanger caught in his stocking.
Oh, yeah. I was wearing fishnets.
With his hanger caught in his fishnets. I was like, where the fuck did you get this hanger, dude? It was the weirdest thing. How did you sit down on a hanger that it got caught in your fishnets?
It was,
How
yeah,
did
I
it
literally
happen?
walked out instead of like toilet paper on my shoe. It was literally a
the
hanger in my
fucking
tights.
hanger. But it was like
Oh,
hung.
no.
It was like hung in the holes. It wasn't like caught up in there. It was like literally like hanging off of his ass. And I was like, what the fuck happened?
It looked intentional.
Hanger
It
ass.
did. It was so weird. Oh,
But man, well, that was our Halloween.
yeah. Interesting times. But anyways, there's Dune. Does anybody have a suggestion for another movie?
Yeah, last night in Sarajevo or whatever the
Soho.
Soho?
yeah, that's the
That could be fun.
Edgar Wright
Yeah, we can
film.
do that.
It is out.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
We could
It
do that.
looks good.
Sick.
I want to watch
Yeah.
it.
I
rarely
don't know
watch
anything about it.
That's right.
So let's not talk about it. Let's
Yeah, let's not
watch
talk
it.
about it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I'm not watching
You've
trailers.
not seen the original?
Oh my god.
And the
Have you
miniseries?
seen the 1984 version?
Yeah, I know, right?
Patrick Stewart.
Where
that the one
Patrick Stewart
Patrick
rides
Stewart
a worm.
You didn't read the
Tiny
books?
worm and has a pug.
Yeah, no.
Brent's a Sohoer, so
Oh, yeah.
That's
Sohoer.
true.
he's
Such
a
a hoe.
Sohy. I don't even know what you call it. Yeah.
He's so hoey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it looked cool. I don't really know a lot about it either, but it's the first time in a long time that I've really like been interested in a movie in the movie theaters. So
Dude, it's an Edgar Wright
hopefully
movie. It's
Yeah,
that.
hopefully
it's
good.
The French Dispatch. I absolutely want to watch the French Dispatch.
Yeah, I want to see the
because
French
it's Wes
Dispatch too.
Anderson.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that looks
Yes,
good.
Yes.
They're good.
Let's
Yeah.
do
Also got
let's do
Timothy
Soho and then we
Chalamet.
can do French Dispatch.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man, thank God the movies are actually like coming out again.
Dude, I'm actually
Like,
excited to go watch movies in the theater. I'm so
I know.
Yeah.
This
stoked.
would be cool.
So,
And if you like James Bond, that new Bond movie is worth a watch for
Is
sure.
it?
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nice.
If you like James Bond and if you like that Daniel Craig iteration,
I
it's
do
pretty
like that.
good.
Yeah. There's
I like
some-
his iteration. I just think I've never been like psyched when a new one comes out.
I've
But I
never been a
absolutely
James Bond
love
guy.
him
anyways.
as Bond.
I've
Yeah.
only seen
Yeah.
one of them, and it's the one with the German dude in it. I didn't understand anything.
Oh,
that
just
was
the previous
happening.
one?
Yeah.
Spectre. That was
Spectre.
probably the worst one.
I think
I had
Casino
no
Royale is
idea what the
fantastic.
fuck was happening.
That's
in that
the
movie.
best.
Oh yeah, Spectre was the worst one. Skyfall was probably the best. I think it's like their best rated. Bond.
Skyfall or Casino
Best
Royale
cinematography.
Yeah,
is
it was
probably the
really
best
good.
one of
Sky-
his.
I think Casino Royale is really really good.
I don't
Yeah.
think those
Yeah.
movies. Well, I don't know. Spectre definitely does not stand on its own because,
No,
dude,
it's a terrible.
I have
movie.
no fucking clue what was going on. I know that he crashed a helicopter for 6 minutes in the first scene, and I was like, all right, like this is.
Yeah, that
looked
one's
good.
the worst one.
It looked good, but it didn't.
It was fucking
wasn't-
stupid.
Yeah.
What a stupid movie.
But this one's good. It kind of redeems it.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you watch
Yeah.
it in theaters? That's such
I
a
did.
weird thing to say now. It's like, did you watch that new movie that just came out that no one has seen before? Did you watch it in theaters?
Yeah.
Or
Watch
HBO
that one in
Max.
theaters.
Yeah, because I
Is
watched
the
it
is the
on
I
Soho
watched-
thing only
I
in
watched it on
theaters?
HBO as well.
Yes, I believe so. I believe that one and French Dispatch is only in theaters. Which is weird. Again, that's weird to
saw-
see on a poster. Only in theaters.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I saw, speaking of Oscar Isaac, I saw his new movie that just came out before Dune as well in theaters. The Gambler, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Gambler.
Something like that.
Or yeah, it was pretty good as well. It's a slower burn,
Okay.
but it's produced by Scorsese, so it's got like that sort of
Mm,
taxi driver kind of. It's got a taxi driver vibe.
Gotcha.
Okay.
What's it called?
Card counter.
Card counter. That's what it's.
Yeah.
Mhm.
it looks
That's Oscar
good.
Isaac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got Oscar Isaac in it. I'll watch it.
Yeah, I Oscar Isaac's
I have
great.
no qualms with that guy. So
Yeah, he's
Great.
good. I mean, I really like that movie.
Yeah, directed by Paul Schrader. Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Bring
Yeah.
Out the Dead.
Huh.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Cool.
But it's written by Scorsese.
Produced, I think.
Produced. Okay.
I mean, they put his name on it.
Yeah.
He's getting pretty old.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have showed up for this shit.
Mhm.
He
Yeah.
will shit on the
It's a lot
Marvel
of work.
movies, though.
Yeah, well,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he will.
He'll roll out of the grave for that one.
They're less movie and more roller coaster.
Whereas I don't like Scorsese movies, which is interesting.
What about The Last Waltz?
I never saw it. If
What about
it's a
the first
Scorsese
Waltz?
movie, I don't steer away from it, but I'm not a huge fan of Scorsese movies. They're just it's like the same shit over and over. So
Kind of depends.
he makes one movie every 3 years.
That's why I was joking about The Last Waltz, because it's just his documentary about the band. The band.
Oh, so
It's a great documentary. Everybody's coked up and plays awesome music.
you know what's a good documentary is Spinal Tap. That's a great documentary.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
best.
Very real.
True.
All right, should we wrap this boy up?
Let's do it.
Yep, let's wrap it.
All right. This has been We Like This Podcast. Next week, we're going to be doing Last Night in Soho, which is that new Edgar Wright movie. Be interesting to see a psychological thriller done by Edgar Wright. Very intrigued, I will say. But yeah, you can follow us down below at our Discord or Instagram at WLT Podcast. And catch us every Tuesday on YouTube at this time that we normally start, which is 8 o'clock Central.
Sweet.
6 o'clock Pacific.